Welcome to the Maxxis Cannonball GNCC. We're out here for round number 3 of the 2017 AMSOIL GNCC Racing Series presented by Maxxis, an AMA National Championship. We're out here in Sparta, Georgia to see if the best off-road racers can stop FMF KTM Factory Racing Caleb Russell from winning his second in a row. Now let's take it down to the starting line with Rodney Tomlin.
Thank you, Mikey, and welcome all along the RacerTV.com and across the world as we are ready to introduce to you our starting lineup for this Maxxis Cannonball GNCC. As we turn our attention to the first turn, our seated riders in the XC1 Pro class, the top 10, will be called out first. 17 riders in all as they make their way down to the starting line. First pick on the gate with a points lead heading into round number 3. He hails from Boonville, North Carolina. He is a 4-time GNCC champion on an FMF KTM Factory Racing KTM, Caleb Russell. Rolling to the line next aboard the number 514 with a season opening win. He hails from Belton, South Carolina on a KTM SRT KTM, Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line today, third in points. He rides aboard the number 212. He hails from Duval, Washington on an Infab and Pro Yamaha, Rough and Rowdy Ricky Russell. Rolling to the line next aboard the number 984 from Hebron, Indiana on RPM KTM, Chris Bach. Rolling to the line next, he is 5th in points after 2 rounds of racing from Jefferson, Georgia on an FMF KTM Factory Racing KTM, multi-time National Enduro Champion, Russell Bobbitt. Rolling to the line next today, he is 6th in points after the first 2 rounds of racing. He rides aboard the number 989 from Williamstown, West Virginia on a Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Racing back Husky. He's bad. He's Thad Duval. Rolling to the line next, America's first ever ISD overall winner, as well as former motocross and supercross great from Akron, Kentucky on a Coastal Racing Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, Ryan Sipes. Rolling to the line next, 8th in points aboard the number 314. From Belton, South Carolina on a Rocky Mountain ATV MC KR4 Husqvarna, Grant Baylor. Rolling to the line next, he was last year's XC2 Pro Lights Class champion. He rides aboard the number 5 from Morganton, North Carolina on a Mototech KTM Honda, Trevor Bollinger. That's actually a Johnny Campbell Racing Honda of Trevor Bollinger. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the 121 from Logan, Ohio, a pure product of GNCC Racing on a KTM SRT KTM, Corey Buttrick. Rolling to the line next, he is aboard the 969 from Southwood, Massachusetts on an MSR Arai CD Factory Connection back KTM, Jonathan Garrard. Rolling to the line next aboard the number 323 from Wellington, Ohio on an MCS Racing Husqvarna, Scott Grills. Up next, aboard the number 19 from Bonnyman, Kentucky on a Honda of Prestonburg, Litz Racing Metzler Honda, Vance Francis. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the number 4 from Cookeville, Tennessee on a Beta USA Beta, Jordan Ashburn. Rolling to the line next, he rides aboard the 114, a former two-time GNCC champion from Australia on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Bel-Ray Husky, Josh Strang. 368 from Williamstown, Vermont on a KTM MSR Lowry's Auto KTM, Dylan McRitchie. And rolling to the line last today, certainly not least, he rides aboard the 269 from Canada on a KTM Canada Recluse Canada FMF back KTM, Philip Cheney. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your opening and starting lineup for this Maxxis Cannonball GNCC. So as our riders make their way onto the starting line and find their place as they get set to write their page of history concerning this day of GNCC racing and the Maxxis Cannonball GNCC, the hearts begin to pound as the blood flows strong today, my friends. And our hearts beat as strong as well as we are ready to tackle this Georgia clay. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, all attention will be focusing down toward turn number 1 as our maestro and conductor of ceremonies, Ricky Towery, will be making his way out to begin the orchestra of starts that we have here in the GNCC Racing Nation. And friends, let me tell you, the excitement is truly beginning to build on what this day of racing holds for us. As Ricky makes his way out, he informs these riders, 1 minute, guys, 1 minute before we're ready to go GNCC racing here in Georgia. The next time we see Ricky step out, he will be waving the blue flag, which will be a dead engine call, as well as the signal for 30 seconds for the start of this race. Ricky makes his way out, finds his place in turn number 1, and now set the signal these riders. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. It's about time to go, folks. And as we get ready to roll through the hills of Georgia, I got to ask you, Georgia race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Hey, that sounds pretty good, Georgia, especially we're a small crowd, but I know we got bigger hearts and we got bigger excitement than that. So I'm going to ask you one more time, Georgia race fans, are you ready to go Cannonball GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at this Maxxis Cannonball GNCC. $250 up for grabs in our Hot Cams All Balls Whole Shot Award, and Caleb Russell rounds the first turn out front. Caleb Russell picks up a $250 bonus and the lead heading into this Georgia GNCC. XC2 250 Pro coming up next. Craig DeLong, Benjamin Kelly, Jesse Grom, Sam Evans, Zach Hayes, Dylan Rash, Nathan Thornhill, Austin Lee, Josh Toth, Ty Tremaine, Brendan Riordan, Harrison Helmick, Michael Witkowski, Drew Higgins, Jesper Borgeson, Ryder Lafferty, Evan Smith, Anthony Federico, Lane Michael, Mason Osterberg, Tristan Landrum, Zach Nolan, Clayton Gerstner, and Trevor Barrett, all ready to roll in 10 seconds. And they're off. A great jump off the line by the 285, the National Enduro fill-in for Nick Davis, Drew Higgins. Let's see what happens up front, though. It's the 21 machine, a big Sam Evans out of St. Albans, West Virginia on the AOMC Fly Racing Back machine, moving into the number 1 spot. Up next, he picks himself up extra $100, by the way, and the FMF X3C3 125 Pro-Am coming up next. We got Chris Douglas, Paul Whibley, Jack Edmondson, Jason Thomas, Devin Welsh, Joshua Adkins, Samuel Stamper, Mark Horesco, Hunter North, Jaron Williams, and Dustin Gibson ready to roll in 10 seconds. Grabbing gears, grabbing traction. Here we go, around the first turn. Paul Whibley got off to a great jump there. Let's see who grabs the whole shot. It's going to be the Wibbs, former GNCC champion, moving to the front of the pack in this FMF XC3 125 class, 258. Coming up next, we got Jesse Ansley, Chase Hayes, Brewer Cawley, Eric Douglas, Sean Benhart, Sam Shaver, Zachary Toth, Matthew Davis, Anthony Tabani, Alex Teagarden, Owen Geis, Chris Goodman, Tanner Wolfram, Zachary Clayland, Matt Turner, Casey Leatherman, also looking at Matthew Keeper, Zach Stuckey, Derek Kravitz, Mason Amerling, Simon Johnson, 10 seconds. Zachary Ferens, Jonathan Johnson, and Cody Barnes. Rounding the first turn, sorting it all out. It's the 145, Sean Benhart. Benhart going to take the early lead out of Smithfield, Virginia on his Enduro Engineering JRP Racing Brewer Cycles back KTM. Four-stroke A-Lights, Colin Keegan, Hunter Williams, Troy Lieberman, Justin Murphy, Connor Keegan, Christopher McManus, Ryan Slotko, Russell Smith, Brendan Poling, Cole Madison, Tyler Hutchison, Colton Reschke, Tucker Gillespie, Tyler Braniff, also Josh Fender, Frederick Bluen, Cody Jeffers, 10 seconds. Levi Cagle, Matt Tavani, and Braden Moore. Riders rolling into that first turn now, rounding the first turn. Jockeying for position. Oh, a little bump and grind action. It's going to be the 3-3-2. Cole Madison out of Inman, South Carolina on the O'Lanes USA Brewer Cycles FXR back machine. Getting to that second turn first. Open A bike, Brady Myers, Vincent Smith, Evan Earl, Zach Tussle, Tyler Soriano, Connor Smith, Colton Cupp, Spencer Hoyt, Levi Keller, Tyler Bruton. Also Ben Parsons, Ryan Quinn, Richard Cagle, Craig Wilson, Justin Leonard, Patrick Jones, Ted Mullins. 10 seconds. Zachary Muirhuron, Zach Dodson, Marcus Scott Canal, Coke Becker, Zachary Nash, Bryce Coster, and Stuart Fish. Open A bike, round in the first turn now. And it's going to be 185, I believe. Levi Keller out of Chillicothe, Ohio, grabbing the early lead as we go to the 208 bike class. And this is Noah Stevens, Cash Jacobs, Brody Johnson, Alexander Luger, Eli Childers, Johnny Manera, Dalton Seals, Jamie Bakersfield, Nathan Davis, Caleb Williams, and Hunter Reimer. Ready to roll in 10 seconds. .701, Hunter Reimer has got himself a great jump off the line on the inside of that first turn. Let's see if he can handle it all the way. He's got company. Oh, the 463. Nathan Davis from Vail, North Carolina. Kenda, Mike's Tire, Moose Racing, FMF, and Pro Motion back rider snagging that lead. Senior A 40 plus. Shotgun Sean Remington, Frank Tussle, Chris Broombaugh, Chris Levin, Bob Bergman, Aaron Baldwin, Mark Lewis, Lee Stevens, Joe Kessler, Jeff Houston, John Leonard, Ivan Banga, Harry Engelhardt. 10 seconds. Larry Sylvia, Jeffrey Odell, Jeremy Dexter, and Todd Gates. Kick starts down again as we roll into history here for the Senior A 40 plus class. A right-hand turn here. Who's going to grab this early lead? It's going to be the number 880, Jeremy Dexter, on a Pro Tune suspension KTM out of Nelsonville, Ohio. The Vet A 30 plus class, Joe Marsh, Ryan Emmons, Sam Forrester, Jared Hoffman, Jesse Arsenal, Steve Krug, John Beaver, Buddy Barnes, and Joe Dean. Ready to roll in 10 seconds. The Vet A 30 plus class now off and rolling. Checking into that first turn, out of the first turn. A little slippery there for the inside guy, but the 092 of Sam Forrester out of Ecton, Maryland on a Cherry Hill Cycle KTM grabs that early lead. Junior AB 25 plus class, Andrew Boggs, Tyler Hampton, TJ Weber, Kevin Simons, also Nicholas Bush, Luke Towery, Nick Labosco, Lane Holster, Aaron Studer, Sammy Doris, Sean Cunningham, Joe Doran, and Andrew France. 10 seconds. Junior AB class working toward turn number 1 now, setting up for the hard right-hand turn, sorting it out now, jockeying for position. It's going to be the 9:05. That's actually the 0:44 of Andrew Boggs out of Masontown, West Virginia. MCI Racing Outlaw, Teely Energy sponsored rider. The 250Bs coming up next. Kyle Prismont, James Fawcett, Chase Sweda, Will Bussick, Brian Day, Paul Crutchlow, Joshua Webb, Evan Walker, Tyler James, also looking at Justin Moulton, Grant Kerfman, Blaine Kimry. 10 seconds. Michael DeLosa, Dakota DeVore, Chase Phillips, Evan Stewart, Matt Modick, Tyler Martin, and Billy Saglia. I believe that's Billy Saliga. Finally changed the spelling on that one, I believe. And here we go. 759 on the bike, 760 on his helmet. Tyler Martin out of Parker, Pennsylvania grabs the early lead in that one. As we go to the 200Bs now. Benjamin Wright, Chase Coldhill, Cole Johnson, Trent Gaither, Tyler Daniels, Keegan Jackwitz, Justin Snipes, Noah Stewart, Alex Johnson, and Brandon Keegan. Ready to roll this 200B class in 10 seconds. .597, that's Noah Stewart from Martins Ferry, Ohio. Fred Andrews Racing, C Concept, moves back right. Let's see if he can hang on to it. Nope. The 318, Chase Colville out of West Sunbury, Pennsylvania, out of Low Jacks Yamaha, grabbing the lead into that second turn of the Vet B 30 plus class. Looking like this: Larry Hopper, Carson Meisenheimer, Steve Young, Sean Morris, Brian Kramer, Wes Morris, Sean Royal, Joe Maurice, DJ Conlon, Kevin Rammer, Quinny Webb. Looking at Steve Lambruno, Jordan Overfield, Justin Ramsey, Jeremy Stowovi, and Scott Dowling in 10 seconds. The Vet B are off and rolling now. Rounding that first turn, and might have been the 424. Nope. Up next in the Open B bike class, James Harshberger, Devin Newkirk, Adam Hollenkamp, Jacob Pritt, Matt Sorge, Grant Lehman, Ethan Grevey, John Campbell, Timothy Whitmire, Dominic Jarvis. 10 seconds. Alex Fraser, Daniel Jordan, Kyle McClester, Christian Brooks, Dawson Dobson, Jacob Barnes, Craig Oberholzer, Matt Bruffy, Corey Jordan, Jared Shiley, and Colton Hale. Round the first turn they go, and it's going to be, I think that was 376, maybe Alex Frazier out of Woodstock, Georgia, as we go to the senior B class. Jeffrey Flynn, Mike Kochman, also Devin Ferguson, Daryl Schlabach, Jason Wilson, Hector Snethen, Kelly Laborde, William Lackey, and Gregory Richardson. Senior B 40 plus class coming up next in 10 seconds. Well, they're jockeying for position through that first turn. A couple of different guys seem to really want this early lead. 7:59, though, is going to take it. William Lackey out of Hickory, North Carolina, who'll be heading close to his stomping grounds in a couple of weeks to the Still Creek GNCC in a couple, like I said, 2 weeks from now. Kind of Morganton. Right now, 4-stroke B lights, Bolt Roth, also Joe Spivey, Jordan Harris, Sean Cochran, Joseph Nemeth, Adam Parker, Michael Tetlow, Jacob Harmon, Zach DeWurst, Hunter Hart, also Jake Fetcher, Andrew Tinker, Hayden Dillon, and Hunter Scott in 10 seconds. Four-stroke B lights are off and rolling now, so his kick starts are down, the electric starts are in. And they try to sort it out, roll into this second turn now, 351. Jordan Harris out of Vandalia, Ohio, KRW Cycle, Scar Racing, Torque 1 Racing, sponsor KTM rider. And looking on the start line, that's going to wrap them up. We've got all 260 plus riders out there on the starting line or out on the racetrack now as they've all made their way off the starting line of this Maxxis Cannonball GNCC. And of course, going to pick up with all the great racing action and what's taking place here at the racetrack and on RacerTV.com. Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Here he is, Walker Fowler, Brand National Cross Country XC1 Pro Class Champion.
At Rocky Mountain ATVMC, we want to help increase rider participation at your next race, rally, or club event with our free Race Gas program. Join Race Gas, and every rider that signs up for your event or club gets a free $10 gift card to Rocky Mountain ATVMC. It's that simple. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back, GNCC Racing Nation, here on RacerTV, round number 3 of the AMSOIL GNCC Racing Series, presented by Maxxis, an AMA National Championship. And I understand we're going to start things off, hopefully with a RacerTV rapid replay for you there at mile marker number 3. So we'll get that up and going for you here in a second. I understand it is Caleb Russell. He definitely got the whole shot. We understand he is leading, and we'll see it in a moment here, through mile marker number 3. And we couldn't get a real good look. We believe it is Ryan Sipes who's running second. Not positive on that. And we're going to take a look at that right now. Maybe. It's coming. All right, so we'll take a second. I'll give you a rundown here, and then we'll get to that replay. But we know, there we go. All right, now we're going to take a look at the replay. We got her up and running.
3.
There we go. So Caleb Russell again out in front. We didn't get a good look. We think it's Ryan Sipes in second. Again, here the RacerTV.com rapid replay. So you see Caleb Russell already hungry in this one, working his way out in front, trying to already create some separation between him and the second place rider right now, who at this point is a mystery man. We think Ryan Sipes, not positive, and we believe Thad Duvall is running third place. Again, there is Caleb Russell out in front. He can't quite make it out. Yeah, I'm not sure. But he did look back, and look there. There is Thad Duvall in third place. So Thad Duvall is running in third place right now. And then I think that is Josh Strang. And then Ricky Russell and Jordan Ashburn. And I think that is Chris Bach. So there is your top riders. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Top 8 through there. And we've got more of our riders rolling through. Can't quite make out who they are. But it could be Ryan Sipes up there in second. We're not positive. That was Stu at the end. Okay, so Stu was right at the end there. So Stu Baylor, man, he is doing this the hard way this season. Round 2, he was back there in about the same position he's in right now. But boy, he worked his way back up in Florida, and it looks like Stu might be trying to take that same route here in Sparta, Georgia. Hopefully things can work out for him. You know he's fast enough to do it, make up some time and get up there in the front of the pack. But we know this. We know Caleb Russell got the whole shot. We know Caleb Russell's in the lead. Not a huge difference in between each rider right now, but it's still early, and you know Caleb Russell, he kind of looked over his shoulder there. He knows that these guys are hungry. And we'll get a few more looks here. Thad's in second, so we got Thad Duvall running second place. So we don't know who he passed to get into second, but he's in second. Let's see if we can take a look here. Come on. Sipes. It is Ryan Sipes. So we were right. Ryan Sipes we thought was running second. He was. Not real long, though. It was Thad Duvall able to make a pass. So Thad Duvall running second right now, trying to catch up to the pace of Caleb Russell. But early on, Thad Duvall making some moves already, getting out there in front of Sipes, who was our mystery man there at mile marker number 3. That is number 4, I believe. So number 4 coming through line right there. And we do have, you know, taking a look at Thad Duvall running second place right now behind Caleb Russell. Those guys battled back and forth the 2 weekends ago, round number 2 down there in Florida. And I think we're going to take a look at that and take a look at some of those round 2 highlights to prep you here for round number 3. There we go, the hog waller down there in Palatka, Florida. Man, down there in the swamps, we had to worry about gators and all sorts of stuff. See, there's some of the vermin right there. And one of the gators. So, man, heck of a race. Like we were talking, Thad Duvall, and there's a good look at Caleb Russell right there. Right out the line. We didn't know who was going to be on the podium. Last round in round number 2, it was Caleb Russell out of the gate. And ultimately, he did get his first win of the season. But boy, they made him work for it. So there we go through the popular mud holes down there, getting a good look at those mud fleas as our pro riders make their way through. See Caleb Russell not on an island by himself, had guys right on his heels. And then a good look here at the XC2 class coming around, getting the whole shot there. And boy, that's about as good as it gets right there. The conditions this race completely different from last weekend. You got a good look at the rain right there. That added an element last race that I don't even think most of our pro guys were ready for. You saw a lot of them, they had to pit on lap number 1, do a goggle change. Here's a good look at Ricky Russell coming through the Maxxis section right there into the woods. Here we get some more looks of our riders running through here, the AMSOIL section there, and you can see that different terrain. They had to deal with that sand and rain. We thought we may have some rain out here today. It's held off so far. Getting some more good looks through those mud holes. I think we're relieved we don't have a lot of those mud holes out here today. But again, and we are seeing a lot of Ricky Russell right there. He's running in the top 3 out of Florida. So he was doing some work out there. Come through the line there. We're getting another shot there of Caleb Russell. Man, he had to work hard for that one. And there he goes through the finish line, capturing his first win of the season and actually putting him up in front. There's a shot of Thad Duvall right there. Take a look at those battle wounds. And now, right now, we're back live and we're getting a shot of Caleb Russell. And I want to say that is the last few chicanes there, the AMSOIL. That's a 9-mile marker. My bad. So I think we've got, what, I believe it's a 13.1 mile track, if I remember correctly. I think that's right. So, you know, a little more than 3/4 of the way through this one. And Yeah, we're moving right along there. Again, Caleb Russell, your leader out in front. We weren't sure. There's a look at Jordan Ashburn right now, the number 4 coming through. We weren't sure who was in second place. It turned out to be Ryan Sipes, but he didn't. Just as soon as we found out it was Ryan Sipes, it switched over, and it was Thad Duvall taking over the second place spot. I believe that was Ricky Russell right there. So these guys are coming around now. And then there's Stu. Stu, man, already doing work. We talked about it. He was in the back of the pack. Maybe 10th place. I'm not real positive. But only podium finish from what I understand. So, yeah, this is he's getting his work cut out for him. He's got 2 podiums under his belt this season with the first place and third place last weekend. He got a rough start off the line. Our XC2 guys, let's see, who are these guys? The 5, Lane Michael. There we go, 5-2-3 of Lane Michael coming through right there. So our XC2 guys now making their way around. Let's see if we'll get an update here for you shortly as we can start to hear them down here toward the finish line. So they're certainly getting closer and closer here at the Maxxis Cannonball in Sparta, Georgia. Want to thank all the race fans for tuning in with us today. We kind of talked about it a little bit. You heard Rodney mention it down there at the start line. If you weren't with us yesterday, wow, that ATV race was something else. That was hands down best ATV race we've had this season. And if it's any indication of what we're going to see out here today, you guys are in for a treat. Definitely race fans out here at the race are going to get in here and get their money's worth today. So, again, our leader out there, Caleb Russell, out in front. The mystery man, which we figured out was Ryan Sipes. He didn't hold on to it real long. Thad Duvall was able to make a pass there. I can't quite remember what the mile marker was, but Thad Duvall, there we go, in between the 3 and 7 mile marker, Thad Duvall was able to work his way up into second place. So that put Ryan back in third. Fourth place was Josh Strang. Ricky Russell, we got some good shots of him there in Florida on the replay, or the recap rather. Ricky Russell, he is running, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's 5th place right now. Jordan Ashburn running 6th. And last time we saw it looked like Chris Bach was back there in 7th place. So our points leader, moving on to the XC2 class, Josh Toth, who, again, our points leader, he is back there in about the middle of the pack right now. So he looks to be taking kind of that Stu Baylor route to this point so far. He is going to have to do some work here in Sparta if he's going to catch up. Josh Toth, again, if he is going to catch up and get to the front of that pack for the XC2. Getting a good look at those guys rolling through there. This is mile marker 9. Like we said, that ATV race yesterday, there we go, mile number 11. Now we're moving right along, and look at there, Caleb Russell, and right on his heels.
That's it. We just got the update from Jeff Russell at the 11-mile marker, and it was simple. We got it over the radio there. Mikey had said that 1 still out front, the 989 still back in second, and the 264. So there you go, 1, 2, and 3, and they are beginning to open up. It seems like a little bit of a gap over the rest of the field there, I believe, Mikey. And this is going to, I think, be a great 3-way battle. At least this first lap is lending itself to showing us to be that way. And I'll tell you something else is pretty remarkable is what we're seeing out there with the fact that we've got 264 Ryan Sipes back out. Last time we saw him, he was actually being carted off the racetrack on a stretcher in Florida. He had his knee or his leg on his helmet and wasn't really sure of the extent of the damages and the injury itself, but nonetheless, it was certainly good to see him this morning and ready to go racing here this afternoon, because there were a lot of questions, I'm sure, coming in for a lot of people as to whether or not Sipes was going to be able to make that happen. Don't forget, folks, if you haven't stopped by the RacerX booth here on Vendor Row, right across from the finish line, and next to the RacerTV broadcast booth, we have got copies of the Caleb Russell cover of the RacerX Illustrated. So we're going to show you a copy of that. But RacerX Illustrated literally put its first ever off-road racer on the cover of Racer X, and in doing so, they made it Caleb Russell for obvious reasons. Part of that championship-winning team there at the ISDE a year ago, last year anyway, late last year, and of course being one of the best and top GNCC racers of all time. If you look at the records and everything, he's smashing them, no doubt about it. It says Trail Boss right there on the cover of the magazine. I think it's pretty awesome, to be honest with you, and he is certainly a great article. The article, if you read it, it's a great one. But here's the cool thing about it. If you buy a subscription, whether it be print or digital or both, you can get both at a special deal. If you buy a subscription to Racer X Illustrated, you will get an autographed poster of Caleb Russell. It is actually the exact same picture that you see on the cover of Racer X Illustrated, only it's blown up and enlarged into poster size. So you can take that home, and I'll tell you right now, that's going to be worth something someday as far as GNCC memorabilia is concerned, because you pick that up, you're going to have a piece of the history and the action of the Caleb Russell era.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I mean, you can't say enough about the guy. First off-road racer to be on the cover. That's just something else pretty incredible. And I wonder if he got a little carpal tunnel signing all those autographs on those posters.
I'm not sure, but I know that it doesn't appear to affect him too much. Man, we got a great battle going on. It looks like in that XC2 Pro Lights class. There's the 15 machine making his way around now. And Mike, you're going to have to give me just a second. I got to go find my glasses real quick. I must have left them on the quad there, but I can't hardly see the TV right now, and we are getting close to the conclusion of our first lap. If I'm reading that right, does that say 28-25, I believe? And there it is. The first lap is in the history books now, and Caleb Russell is now leader of lap number 1. Thad Duvall hot on his rear wheel, 2.63. Seeing the 4th, 5th, and 6th place riders check in soon. Here comes the number 4 machine of Jordan. Man, look how hard Ashburn is pushing right now. As fast as he's going, as hard as he's pushing, I'm really surprised that he's not up there in the thick of things with those front 3 riders right now, because if you're watching him ride, I swear it looks like he may be riding at a little faster pace right now. Uh-oh, tough brakes there for the 123. Austin Lee having problems there in the pro pit section. That is Trevor Bollinger's teammate on the JCR Racing Honda. And I know I said something about something else in opening, but my paperwork was wrong today. Unfortunately, I felt like a real idiot there. But regardless, the JCR Honda of Bollinger and that 123 of Austin Lee, they are teammates out there. Lee getting up a pretty good speed. There's the 704 machine. Tristan Landrum, he's a part of that XC2 crowd there. He's going to be checking in here real soon at the finish line. We'll sort those XC2 Pro Lights guys out. We'll be seeing some of the XC3 Pro Am guys start to make their way in here in just a few minutes. So there you go. And again, I got to find my glasses so I can continue to read. My quad just took off, so won't be doing that anytime soon. Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, Ryan Sipes, Jordan Ashburn, Lane Michael, leader of the XC2 Pro Lights class, the 250 Pro Lights class, is leading that class. He is 5th place overall right now, it looks like. Trevor Bollinger, who's 5th in the XC1 class, is 6th overall now. It drops him back, and Ricky Russell, the 212, is 7th. We've got Stu Baylor in 8th, Chris Bach in 9th, and looks like Russell Bobbitt rounds out the top 10 in the overall, and 10th in class of the XC1 Pro class right now is Corey Buttrick. So that's a good look at the field that we're seeing in the early part of this race. But amazing, man. We've seen Lane Michael ride some of these blistering fast paces last year, late last year, especially after the ISDE. He came back on fire, my friends. And, well, here he is now, again, back on fire. So it looks like he may be man on a mission here. It's, I'm sure, as good as things were for him the first couple of rounds, he is hoping for so much more and so much better here today. And I'll tell you, pure dominance is what we're experiencing at this particular moment. As again, he does run 5th place overall. Looking at lap times, a 29:11 to a 28:27 for your leader, Caleb Russell. So not real far off the pace, and certainly keeping it honest right now. As the number 9 checking in, that's Craig DeLong, I believe. Let's check in with some of our XC2 250 Pro class rider. So it's Michael Jesse Grome. We got Michael Witkowski in the number 3 spot.
Drew Higgins from the National Enduro Series, and the substitute rider on Nick Davis's bike this week is running in the number 4 spot. Jonathan Toth, the number 206, is in the number 5 position. We see Craig DeLong, who just came by on our screen, in 6th place aboard the 9. We got 234 Tile.
Go ahead, update.
You got number 1 coming through, couple seconds, Pat Duvall, and then another 2 seconds, Ryan Sykes coming to the water truck pond, cover guy.
10-4, thanks a lot. That's Hollywood out giving us the updates there, as we can see at the 2-mile marker. So it sounds like that things are sorting out there on the racetrack for those 3 as they continue to jockey that position, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Basically running nose to tail about 2 seconds apart in intervals, and a little bit of a gap, like you say, back to the number 4 position, as we are watching out now near the what we call the wastelands, I believe, here in GNCC. Actually, this might be the 2-mile marker, so we're going to see those lead riders coming in just a moment if we didn't see them go by already, as I was looking at my computer monitor. Might have already seen them. So continuing with Ty Tremaine in 7th, the XC2 Pro class. We got 9th place Zach. That's actually 8th place Evan Smith for the 348. 9th place the 823 Zach Hayes. And rounding out the top 10, that's Austin Lee. So he lost a little bit of time back there, I think, in that miscue on Pro Row a few moments ago. But I think he knows what kind of work he's got cut out for him, and he's going to be putting his head down in charge. And don't be surprised to see him charge back to a podium position finish today. After talking with him in pre-race interviews today, you know, he says there's a lot of people that's counting on him and a lot of people that he'd be letting down if he doesn't perform well. So he's coming out to do just that. There's Russell at the 2-mile marker now. What is it? I can see I need my glasses. That's 514, I guess. I see a 1 on there. So that's Stu Baylor on that bike there. And that is Baylor way back again, folks. Remember, we were talking about that just a moment ago. Baylor was about 9th, 10th place in class and was running somewhere in the neighborhood of that. Only 1 position off there in the overall. Actually 7th place position in class, and that dropped him 8th place overall as Lane Michael running in the number 5 position overall. So we got the XC1 Open Pro bikes, the XC2 250 Pros, and the XC3 125 Pro-Am. That's the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am. And what, I mean, and that's just 3 classes of the stuff. And we've got great battling going on in those championship classes, but we've got battling going on throughout the entire field there, Mikey. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as the race progresses. But right now, keeping an eye on what's going on and still soaking in a lot of what took place earlier today with some of that other racing we had.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, the biggest highlight, I think, was seeing former GNCC champ out there, Charlie Mullins. Charlie Mullins made his first GNCC appearance out here with us since retiring last season. He ran the Sportsman A class in the AM bike race, and wow. He ran away with it. We actually had a chance to talk to him with RacerTV, and he was ecstatic. He said he had, and there you go. Right there's a good look at Charlie's old teammate. You might know the guy. He wears a number 1 plate. His name's Caleb Russell. You can find him on the cover of the Racer X Illustrated magazine there. So, but yeah, real good to see Charlie Mullins out there. I think he had more fun than anything else. He said his hands were a little blistered up, but he had a good time.
Russell there at the 3-mile marker there. He's followed by Duvall, who's followed by Ryan Sipes. A little bit of a gap starting to open up to the number 3 spot as the dust kicking up out there in some of those drier sections, this what we call wasteland section. So, man, that's a tough place to be for the 3rd place rider. But look at that. All the dust is settled for the number 4 machine. And still look at the push that's going on right now by
the number 4 of Jordan Ashburn. We take a look at the gap. It was 32 seconds. You know, I almost have to think that gap is starting to close up a little bit. This man really seems to be riding with quite a sense of urgency on that Beta USA motorcycle.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think somewhere in the back of all these guys' minds, they might be thinking about Florida and thinking, hey, just because I'm back here, this may be like Florida. Something may happen. I may have a shot to get up there and have one of the top finishes of the day. So I don't think we're going to see these guys slow down one bit.
No, not at all. And I know Baylor is hoping for a repeat of Florida. We see him in 8th place after that first lap of the overall, which is pretty much what we saw.
Past the 3 here in a few seconds.
All right, so I thought we was getting an update there for a second, so obviously not. So there is Stu Baylor now. Again, he's 7th place in class, or what? He's right behind Trevor Bollinger. Actually, I think he is. Where's Ricky Russell? Ricky Russell's dropped back a spot, so Russell is back to 7th now. That moves Baylor up to 6th, and Bollinger and Stu Baylor could be a pretty lethal combination when it comes to pushing toward the front, because both of those guys are great at doing that. And if they hook up together, can make that happen, man, we could see some pretty big fireworks, I think, before the end of this day. Corey Buttrick making his way by. He's your 10th place ride. There is the 114, Josh Strang. And 314 of Grant Baylor. So Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, Ryan Sipes continue to lead, to dominate the field, but can Jordan Ashburn make up the gap? What about Bollinger and Baylor? They're pushing hard too. Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of dirt bike lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Here at Rocky Mountain ATVMC, we go beyond selling parts, apparel, and accessories. We take pride in supporting the sport. We're proud to sponsor GNCC Racing and the KR4 team. It's just one more way to show our dedication for the fans and riders of this great sport. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And right now, picking the action up back out here on the racetrack with a little bit of our XC2 action. Welcome back to Georgia and GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with our good buddy Mikey Waynes here. And don't know where Johnny G's gotten off to today, but I was kind of surprised to come around and not find him here in the booth, especially after yesterday's stellar performance that we saw him put forth on the ATV race. I figured he'd be more than happy to be back over here sharing, at least if nothing else, the information about that. But right now, as we continue to watch this, we just to give you a heads up, we are about 40 minutes into this race. We're just under the 40-minute mark. Our leaders are on lap number 2. They're due in about 17 minutes for the completion of lap number 2. And at last check, we had Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, and Ryan Sipes basically run a 2-second gap, 2-second gap. Last time we saw them through this 3-mile section, the wasteland, it had opened up a little bit. There was a lot of dust billowing out of the second place ride behind Caleb in second place there of Thad Duvall. They made Ryan just sit back a little bit, I think, in that section of the racetrack. But watching the number 4 back in 4th place of Jordan Ashburn riding that Beta USA motorcycle, that rider right there seemed to be the one on the move right now as he was pushing hard. A 32-second gap when he came through the finish line. I haven't gotten an official gap, but whenever we last saw him, it looked like that gap had kind of tightened up. Bollinger and Baylor have hooked up together now. They're running back in the number 5 and 6 spots. They could be some threats as well. There's the 125 machine we see checking in with us right now. And 125 is the leader of the XC3. That's the FMF XC3 Pro-Am class. The 125 is UKJT. Jason Thomas on a low jack cycle sales JTR off-road back machine. Here's the thing to point out about Jason Thomas. He said his game plan today coming into this XC3 race was to latch on to Jack, who has been winning the last couple of rounds and has basically been smashing these guys, and try to key off of him. Well, look what, he's out front. There's Paul Whibley now, the number 99 machine. Let's check in with how things are breaking down officially there with the XC3. wait a minute now. According to timing and scoring, we got Jack Edmondson is out front. Jason Thomas was second place, so I might have looked up at the very wrong time because there was only 1.6 seconds that separated it.
Wow.
And that's what happened. I looked up and I seen Thomas. They said the leader of the XC3, and I look up, there's Thomas on the board, but he was only a second behind Jack Edmondson. Paul Whibley back in third. We've got our all-international podium back with us once again, starting out the FMF XC3 class, and wow, looks like a long road to hoe for these riders, except for Jason Thomas is right where he said he wanted to be coming into today's race.
Yeah, that's incredible. And those three guys, I believe that's been our podium to this point in the season. And they're out here round number 3 doing the same thing. And like you said, Jason Thomas is doing work there, just a hair over a second and a half, I believe, behind Jack Edmondson.
Well, the 68 machine, fourth place, Chris Douglas out of Cincinnati. Welcome back, Christopher Douglas. Just realized that's who that was. Hadn't seen him the first couple of rounds, but he's back in action in this 125 class. We got the 747, Hunter Neuwirth out of Summers, Connecticut in 5th. In 6th place, Dustin Gibson, the 911 out of Van Leer, Tennessee. 7th place, Mark Haresco out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Then we've got Jaron Williams, the 891 in 8th out of Connorsville, Indiana. And Samuel Stamper, the 392 from Charleston, West Virginia. I believe we saw some action from this morning's podium racing, from this morning's racing there on TV, right, Mikey?
Yeah, I believe that, I want to say that was one of our top amateur riders right there. Oh, well, there you go. I think it's, I take that back. That's just one of our riders out there getting some photos up on the podium. But talking about that bike youth race this morning, you know what? Zachary Davidson. You guys get used to hearing that name. I got a feeling you're going to hear it for years to come. He took another win out there, 3rd win on the season in a row. And then out of the Super Mini Junior, Michael Beeler Jr. This guy's something else. He is a Super Mini Junior rider, was 3rd place on the podium today. So heck of a ride by him. And then just to highlight a couple more winners for you, how about the Cunningham brothers? Taking a win out of the 85s, Joseph Cunningham, and on the 65s, little brother Dakota Cunningham taking a big win this morning. So big day for those guys as well.
A lot of big days for a lot of guys out there right now. Our front 3 classes that we're talking about, the XC1, 2, and 3, certainly giving us lots of action here today, but we got a whole host of other classes we're going to be keeping an eye on throughout the course of the day. I know one of the premier classes that a lot of folks like to watch. We'll keep an eye on the screen and listening for updates coming in from Hollywood and Jeff Russell. Jonathan Johnson, old JJ, leading that 258 class for the 981 out of Landrum, South Carolina. We got the 145, Sean Benhart from Smithfield, Virginia. 990, Cody Barnes from Sterling, Illinois. Running in 3rd, 570, Matthew Kiefer from Monroe Township, PA. In 5th place, Alex Teagarden out of Waynesburg, PA on the 309. Then we got the 534, Casey Leatherman in 6th, 7th, the 28 of Jesse Ansley. But, I'm going to challenge you to keep an eye and an ear out for the 28 of Jesse Ansley back in 7th right now. You might be surprised where this kid ends up when it's all said and done. Brewer Carley, the 48, is 8th. Chase Hayes, 36 and 9th. And Simon Johnson rounds out your top 10 in the 258 class. The 200A class, another growing class. 10 riders in this, the top 10 riders in this one include Nathan Davis, the 463 out of Vail, North Carolina. Got 374 Dalton Seals from Lexington, South Carolina. 86 Noah Stevens out of Valdez, North Carolina. Johnny Monero, the 357 out of Millville, New Jersey. And 4th, Cass Jacobs, 95 out of Sarasota, Florida, is 5th to start things off here after their first lap. 701 Hunter Reimer out of Saxonburg, PA, is 6th. 7th, Eli Childers, the 339. 8th is Alexander Lugar, the 303. 9th place, the 449, Jamie Bakersfield. And 10th place, the 540 of Caleb Williams. Good to see Caleb making the A ranks here in 2017. 332, Cole Madison leading the 4-stroke A lights class right now. Tyler Braniff, 421, is in 2nd place. By the way, Madison out of Inman, South Carolina. Terra Alta, West Virginia, home for Braniff. Ryan Slopko from Londonderry, Ohio, is the 215 in 3rd. Troy Lieberman, number 82 from Columbus, North Carolina. And 4th, 5th is the 50 of Colin Keegan from Coal Center, PA. From Morganton, North Carolina, home of our next upcoming event, and also a fellow rider out there on the racetrack in that pro class. Trevor Bollinger is also from this town. Morganton, North Carolina. Chris McManus is running in 6th now aboard the 151. The 84 of Justin Murphy is 7th. Brendan Poling, 326 and 8th. 9th is Russell Smith. 10th will be Connor Keegan. Coming up next, Junior AB class. These are 25-year-old riders and older. We got Sean Cunningham, the 928 from Knoxville, Tennessee, leading there. The 544, Lucas Towery, running in the number 2 spot. Latimer, North Carolina, 565. Nick Labasco out of Sukasana, New Jersey, is running in the 3rd place position. 619, Aaron Studer from Cross Lanes, West Virginia is 4th. Sammy Doors, 852 in 5th from Greenbrier, Tennessee. 6th place, TJ Weber from Charleston, South Carolina. Then we got 950, Joe Doran. Doran out of on that 950. 8th place, then 983, Andrew France. 9th place, 417, Nick Bush. 44 is Andrew Boggs. He rounds out the top 10. You know what I'm talking about. That's how they spell it, too. Bush. That's your Junior AB 25-plus class. The Bet A 30. Go ahead, update.
Maybe one bite in between each of them. They're just kind of flowing through the Georgia woods, smooth as silk. Got a good gap on 4th place, who's coming right now, Jordan Ashburn. Looking good out here.
10-4 Hollywood. If you can put a clock on that 3rd and 4th place gap, I'd appreciate it. We had about a 32-second gap at the finish line, but Jordan looks like he's pushing pretty hard and maybe closed up a little bit. Also want to keep an eye out on those other 2 riders coming up behind him as we got a couple riders hooking up. We got the number 5 of Bollinger and the 514 of Stu Baylor.
Going from Ashburn, waiting on Bollinger right now.
All righty.
Actually, it's Stu Baylor in 5th place. He's 30 seconds back of Ashburn in 4th, and then another 7 seconds. It comes Bollinger.
Wow. 10-4. Thank you for that update, Holly. Would you say that's the 7-mile marker?
Roger that. 7-mile mark.
All righty, as we're watching on TV, we're witnessing the same thing taking place. There is Ashburn making his way through, so about 30 seconds. So he's 25 seconds down now behind the front 3 runners there, and that is about a 7-second gap, and he is certainly charging. There's no doubt about that. A good charge back there by that now 5th place ride of Stu Baylor. He's gotten up a couple spots, got around Ricky Russell, got around Trevor Bollinger. Bollinger a few seconds back, man, but what a hard charge. And these guys are really charging hard this year. A lot of the guys are having to charge hard, and for good reason, man. The pace up front is just, I don't want to say ridiculous, but it's crazy fast right now, there's no doubt. And these guys, such well-tuned athletes, so in tune with their machines and so fluid. It is so much fun to watch them rise to this level. And
Quite what I was hoping for. You know, a win is always there, is always the goal. But, you know, for not winning, it was probably the closest I can be. But, yeah, you know, it was good. I was pretty disappointed in 2nd. I felt like I had the speed to win and just I couldn't put it together the last lap. And, you know, it was a full-out brawl the last lap between me and Caleb. It was pretty cool. And, you know, we raced clean and fun, and it was a good battle. Yeah, just you know, we worked on some things the last couple weeks, and we're ready to get the win. I don't know. Anytime I get to ride my dirt bike is fun, and you know, when you know, 3 hours is brutal, especially in the Florida sand, and now we're in Georgia, and this place gets just as rough, I feel like. And you know, it's I don't really, you know, it's my job, but I don't really look at it like that. You know, I try to have fun with it, and you know, when you get that mentality that it's your job, you know, I feel like I need to have that, you know, in the back of my mind, this is my job, I got to do well. But, you know, when I'm having fun, I just enjoy it. And, you know, that's always, you know, that's why I grew up riding, and, you know, I enjoyed it. And, you know, just anytime on my dirt bike is fun, except for like the last hour when you're really beat up and you're like, man, why am I doing this? But, you know, I enjoy it. You know, it's what I work for. It's what I worked all winter for. And, you know, I felt like I was really strong at Florida, and I never really got any tired. So it's just keep the momentum going into this race.
wow, so charging hard. That's one of our hard chargers as well as Thad Duvall. And right now, it's a lot of hard charging going out there on the racetrack. Just got an update from the 7-mile marker. Lane Michael checking in there just a moment ago. Front number plate missing on the 523. Still got a comfortable lead over the number 15 there in the XC2 class.
I think I can hear him coming. Should be here in just a second.
10-4, we're listening. There's, we listen up. There's Lane Michael coming through the Wastelands. No front number plate right there. You see, folks, if you're watching at home on RacerTV, we got the RacerTV.com rapid replay. And nice slow.
264. We're on pole. Just blowing through.
All righty, so Jeff Russell giving us this update, telling us that things are still status quo. 1, 2, and 3, nose to tail. Look at the intensity at which these guys are racing at right now. Going by this 9-mile marker as they're making their way around. Was talking there just a second ago about those XC2 guys. As we told you, 15 Jesse Grumman.
Checked up a little bit. I didn't quite get a watch on Rodney, but it seems to be moving up a little bit, closing that gap for get that group.
10-4, copy that. Thank you, Jeff. So we are seeing that happen. There's the number 4 machine on the screen right now, as you see at the 9-mile marker. And about 25 seconds, we saw about 7 seconds or so that has been shaved off of that gap between first, second, and third back to the fourth place ride. Hey, by the way, Josh Toth was having some issues in the early part of that first lap. And, you know, when they finished up at the end of lap number 1, it was probably looking a little bleaker for him than we have seen it look in races past. But I'll tell you what, man, this guy has moved up from 5th place now up to the 3rd place position. He's gotten around Drew Kiggins and Mike Witkowski. Witkowski drops from 3rd now to the number 4 spot here on lap number 2 of the XC2 250 Pro Am, or the XC2 250 Pro class. Got some new names. Jason Thomas looks like is leading the XC3 class. We got that report just a little bit ago, and we got the 118 of Jack Edmondson, I believe, back at, yep, there he is in the number 2 spot. So now UKJT out front of one of his buddy's sons. Believe it or not, he came over to the U.S. with Paul Edmondson. Jason Thomas did. Now Jack's coming over here and showing him the fast way around the racetrack in his XC3 125 Pro-Am class, brought to you by FMF, of course. So Thomas, Edmondson, Whibley, 1, 2, and Bobbitt now making his way by the 9-mile marker right now. And I have to think that maybe Bobbitt might be looking at some pretty good things. He was 9th place whenever we checked in with him. Solid run rolling right now, it looks like, guys. And Bobbitt might be somebody to keep an eye on as we welcome Johnny Gallagher to the broadcast booth. Johnny, while we watch this and are in awe of what's going on with these two-wheel guys, I just want to say congratulations to you on a stellar ride there yesterday. It was a lot of fun, man. You had a good, solid day yesterday.
Yeah, you know, I guess I'm happy that everybody else is happy, but I'm not.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, there was points of it that were good for sure, but found some major flaws and things yesterday, and we're going to work on those for the next 2 weeks and come back. But
looking like a hungry racer right there.
Yeah. You know, it was fell apart there at the end, the last lap. Made some mental mistakes that led to some physical difficulties, and lost some ground. Should have been in that battle. Feel I should have been in that battle for 6 coming to the finish, and instead came alone by myself in 8th. So, but it was definitely some good points. So yeah, you know, it's been a good weekend. The track really shaped up really nice. Coming into the weekend, knew it was going to be dry, and as we can see on screen here, not nearly as much today, dust-wise today, as what we had yesterday. So here we see Jesse Grom on screen working his way through, and you know, I've been listening to you guys there and finishing up some things to get over here to the booth. And, one thing that's crazy is just watching these routes, you know.
Yeah.
It's, for us on the quads, it's not as much of an issue. We kind of, we feel them for sure. They beat us up. But with these guys, I mean, you can literally see these guys sawing the bars back and forth in a lot of these corners. So I think that's going to be something we're going to hear a lot of after this one's over on the podium today.
Well, it sounds like we might be getting...
Still the 1, 989, 264, coming to the Cannonball
10-4, thank you, Jeff Russell. So they're still able to throw a blanket over them as they're coming toward the finish line right now out here near the 11-mile marker, where we're going to keep an eye on our screens. And there's Russell, there is Duval, and there is Sipes. All three are right there together. You could call a gap between those guys, but honestly, you could fit a couple of bikes in between them, but that's not a gap when these guys are riding at this level and this intensity right now.
You know, I think the biggest thing that's been a surprise to me so far is Ryan Sipes today. You know, we know he's fast. Obviously, we know he's capable of winning races. Obviously, his resume shows us that. But, you know, to see that, look at this, and he's going for the pass on Duvall right now on screen. Folks, he's got him, but is Duvall going to run it up the inside? No, Sipes makes the pass, so we've got a new second-place rider, just as just as I was talking about that. You know, he's really impressing me today.
Yeah, so listen to some of the radio updates. We just witnessed that pass just before our very eyes. Man, I just got to wonder, you know, and Thad does that a lot of times, especially at this juncture in the race. Sometimes he'll let somebody go by if he thinks they're a little bit faster so he can key off of them a little bit.
Well, I saw two things there. I saw that, I think, to be honest, I think that Sipes surprised Thad a little bit, as we see Thad now in VP Fuels Pro Row, getting upped off there at the Rockstar Husqvarna tent. And it looks like, judging by what we're seeing on screen there, it looks like he may have been the only one that stopped that lap, unless those other guys were already gone.
You know, that might have been it. And there's Thomas now checking in XC3 at the 9-mile marker with, I believe, Jack still not far behind, a little bit of a gap back to Paul Webley. But, you know, that might have been, he might have used that right there, that little incident, as a play in his favor and getting off the pit stop strategy of everyone else. And he might be able to take advantage of that next time around.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's going to use that, try and close that gap. We saw him do that actually at the previous race, where he fueled off sequence and then used that as an opportunity to try and gap Caleb when Caleb had to fuel. So we saw it, and now we're seeing it in reverse. He's the one that stopped a little bit early, but we did just see Stu Baylor on screen there. Now we see Trevor Bollinger, so we've been talked about how those guys have been hooked up and pushing. Looks like Baylor's pulled up about probably a 15-second gap or so now on Bollinger. So Baylor, obviously the man on the move. We saw him sitting there on the starting line long after everyone else was gone, and you know, he's kind of been a man on a mission, working his way up through and steadily clicking off spots. Looks like he has now worked his way up. Did not see if Jordan Ashburn came through there, so we'll don't know if it's still going to be Ashburn in fourth or if it is now Baylor in fourth. I think it is.
Ashburn is still in fourth. We just got a report from Jeff Russell that Ashburn is closing up the gap even more. He said, and Russell seemed pretty excited about that. Jeff did, as he said, Ashburn is closing up the gap. Whenever they came in through those wood sections, he says he could note a big difference in the gap between that third and fourth place position.
Well, so there's that shows you, and I mean, obviously Thad did stop for fuel there, so we could maybe take it.
Well, that was before that even happened.
Okay.
Yeah, that
great.
was right before that, actually.
Well, then we might be seeing, is that Josh Strang we're seeing on screen there? Looks like the 114 machine.
Yep.
That is Strang out there. We know he's trying to ride to possibly get some points today with that injury that he's been working his way through. Not sure who that was there, but there we see Lane Michael, the XC2 leader. And I'll tell you what, Rodney, I was out there the first lap, stepped out into the woods a little bit and was watching these guys come by, and Lane Michael was a man on a mission. Look at this. It looks like Caleb, yeah, he's opened up a little bit of gap over Ryan Sipes. So maybe did Sipes stop as well, or is Caleb using this as an opportunity to turn on the afterburners, try and get away?
That could be a big part of it too. You know, it's hard to tell. There's Corey Buttrick in the pits as we see him there. There's Thad Duvall making his way through. Let's do the update on timing and scoring right here. Sipes checked in 2.7 seconds back, so he wasn't as far off the pace as what we kind of thought. We just missed him on the camera there. Thad Duvall checks in even after the pit stop, only 7.3 seconds back right now, so he didn't lose a whole lot of time. He's about 10 seconds back behind. But look at this. There's the guy we've been watching this lap, Jordan Ashburn, taking a 32-second gap, whittling it down to 27 to 25. And now as we wrap up lap number 4 or 2, the number 4 machine is only 25.5 seconds back. So that gap is, it seems like it looked like it was even tighter than that. But I'm telling you right now, watching Jordan Ashburn, he's riding, I wouldn't say with a sense of urgency. Oh, look at this. Here comes Stu Baylor in now.
Baylor on a charge, and he's really closing down that gap. And, you know, one thing, I think, Rodney, you may have been just starting to say what I was going to say. You know, Mikey, Rodney, the thing that I've noticed so far today watching Jordan Ashburn is he's got a certain flow to him.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's, you know, he's kind of hopping over stuff. He's wheel tapping off of stuff where it seems like the three up front are really pushing the pace. We see their back end kind of skating. It looks like, you know, and talking with some of the riders this morning, and obviously having ridden the course myself yesterday. Uh-oh, look at this. Jesse Grom was our early second-place rider in the XC2 class in the pits, walking away from his bike. Looks like he's got some tools out that look like a big screwdriver. It almost looked like maybe he was planning on making a suspension change there.
Oh, man, he's doing something. Look at him go.
Oh, he's got a T-handle, and he's loosening something because he's not tightening it. I don't know what exactly it is he's working on, but he appears to be doing something near the rear shock on that machine. He did. He made a suspension change, and now he's off on his way. That's
wow.
odd
That's
that you see that mid-race.
That's impressive, I got to tell you. I mean, a rider that can
do his own changes right in the middle of the race. That's pretty impressive, to say the least. Let's check in with what's going on. Russell, Sipes, Duvall, Ashburn, Baylor's checked in now. He's 30.1 seconds. Let's look at lap times. Caleb Russell just turned a 30-minute, 58-second lap time. Ryan Sipes turned a 30-minute, 53-second lap time. Duvall with a pit stop and all, a 31.05. But get this, Stu Baylor, well, let's say Jordan Ashburn, a 30.54, but Stu Baylor was faster than everybody with a 30 minutes and 52 seconds. And, you know, from what I understand, Stu Baylor's got kind of a secret weapon he's using right now to get faster. And we had a chance to catch up with him, talk a little bit about that.
Ice cream the day before the race, man. Hey, everybody judges me, you know. I don't really care. Like, we're all here for the same thing. We're here for fun, and I like to eat. My trainer, what he doesn't know won't hurt him, and I'm going to continue to do it. Successful, right? It's worked this far through the season. I was telling him, I eat it on Tuesdays. I eat it on Saturdays, and if I do good, I get it on Sunday too.
I'm a sore loser.
I'm a sore loser. Losing is not an option for me.
Be the best.
The best? The best. You have to have the best equipment under the hood. That's why I only use
Cometic products in my engines.
Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket. Cometic gasket.
Cometic gasket, a superior quality gasket
For those of us who demand the highest level of performance.
CST Tires.
Introducing SoundArt, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. SoundArt is elegantly hidden behind a high-grade, textured canvas wrap, bringing together the best of sound and art. This innovative design allows for a truly invisible, high-fidelity sound experience without bulky speakers. SoundArt by Ansia. Your art never sounded so good.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here from Sparta, Georgia. It is round 3 of the AMSOIL GNCC series. This is the Maxxis Cannonball GNCC. And while we were gone, this is what took place, my friends. Caleb Russell checking in with us there. And, of course, Ryan Sipes still hot on the rear wheel there. You know, when we saw him come through, there was about almost a 3-second gap. Now, as we see that gap is not lengthening out any. It sometimes actually gets a little tighter than that. The gap back to the number 989 at Thad Duvall was nearly 8 seconds. And I'm understanding that is starting to tighten up a little bit, too, now. So we may be...
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see with, I believe, was it Thad Duvall had pitted earlier. We'll have to see if maybe that works out into an advantage for him later on.
Well, rumor is we got a new XC3, FMF XC3 class leader. They tell us that Jack Edmondson got around that rider right there, the 125 of Jason Thomas. And as we check in with 2 laps complete, back at it, it looks like Jason and Jack are still running 1 and 2 in that order, 2 seconds apart. So Jason still is back into the command of this particular race, and it's pretty interesting. Again, Jason had talked about how he was just going to run behind the young Jack there for a while today and try to best him at the end, but that seems to have changed a little bit. We see the 295 checking in right now as well. That's one of our XC2 riders. That's Swedish rider Jesper Borgesson, and he's here with the XC2 250 Pro class, and looks like Jesper's got himself a good run going. We'll see where he actually sits in this class as we look at his particular position on the racetrack. He is 11th place, our Swedish rider here with us today. He's only about 13 seconds behind Austin Lee, whom we've seen have a few little struggles earlier today. So this is going to be a good one to watch unfold here between
those guys, see whether or not the Swedish rider is going to be able to make the top 10 here today. But good to see riders from all over the nation and all over as well the world when you take a look at the global situation of it all. And I tell you, man, it's pretty exciting. There's Caleb Russell out here in the wastelands once again, and I don't know if that gap is starting to open or whether he's just found a little bit of comfort and riding right now. But no, the gap is not any more than it was. It's hard to tell sometimes. Caleb does not necessarily seem to be riding with a sense of urgency. Neither does Ryan Sipes right now. But man, Ryan Sipes seems to be on a pretty big, pretty straight rail of his own right now. Go ahead, update.
Russell, Sipes, 2 bikes between them, 10 bikes to Duval. They're all like within 3 seconds total of the top 3.
10 seconds, 10-4. I say.
Ashburn in 4th, and then Baylor in 5th. He's closing up too.
Copy that, Holly. We're going to stick with you for just a couple moments here. So we're going to wait with Holly.
The Ashburn, he's a couple turns from me. We're sitting at 20 seconds at the moment.
20 seconds. So we've seen another 5 seconds or so shaved off. 25. So it's right at the same as it was.
I got 2.5. His dad just gave him a pit board, said minus 3.5.
Must be trying to encourage him just a little bit. So there you have it. Sounds like a little mind games being played by the pit crew of his own. There's Stu Baylor coming through now. See what the gap on that one is. He's closing up quite a bit too, folks. I'm telling you.
They're in 5th, about another 20 seconds back of Ashburn, but they both look like they're moving good still.
10-4, copy that, Hollywood. So 20 seconds now back to Stu Baylor, man. I tell you, Baylor's on a mission again, and who knows how it's all going to end, but one thing's for certain, he is not going to give up until that checker flag flies. And Mikey, we're joined now by Nick Davis, who is out with us. We talked about the substitute rider and Drew Higgins out there a little bit ago and how well things are going in the Beta USA team. But welcome back to the booth, Nick Davis, and good to see you back at the racetrack, man. I know a couple of weeks ago when we talked to you, you were pretty racked up still, man, and you were limping around all hunched over and all swollen up and a little bruised up and stuff. You seem to be a little bit better today than what you were 2 weeks ago.
It's a lot better, than what I was a couple weeks ago. Can't complain, it's a matter of time now to get healed back up again. I pulled a lot of ligaments and everything in my legs, so I've been doing a lot of physical therapy. I've been working with Nate, who's training Stu Baylor. He's got me doing some crazy exercises. I probably look pretty funny doing them, but I tell you what, it really is improving. And North Carolina's still up in the air a little bit for me to come back, but if I feel strong, I'd love to get back out there and do what we love,
Well, how does it feel, man, to see somebody step in your place and do so well? I mean, Drew's done quite well, I think, last time around, and right now I know he was doing really well a little bit ago. Let's see how things are going for him right now. But regardless, man, I mean, he's got the bike out there, he's making it work, and he's obviously having a good time here at GNCC Racing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty. yeah, definitely. He's doing really well. Drew's looking good. He's losing the leaders right now. We had to do a pit stop the last lap, on a 2-stroke, burn a little more gas than the guys in the 4 strokes. But he's looking good. I hope if he can run him back down. I know Craig DeLong right now is hot on his heels, and he's a man on a mission. So if he gets around him, hopefully he can latch on and they can go to the front. Work together.
Well, I was talking with Drew earlier today in the pre-race report, and he was telling me that, though his focus with Beta USA is through the National Enduro Series, he's getting kind of itchy about coming here, and he wants to race the entire series now since things are going so good for him.
Yeah, he talked to me a little bit about it. Like he was signed for National Enduros, but he's liking them, and he wants to run them because he said he lacks that like speed, that raw speed. So he's looking forward to getting with these guys, and the more he does it, he feels the faster he can get. I know he's fit. He trains with Josh Strang all off season. So I know all that's good. I think he just needs to get it figured out a little bit, and he could be a competitor in the rounds to come for sure.
Well, that's good, man. That always add the new name to the mix is always good. And I know you mentioned that still up in the air as far as North Carolina. On a realistic note right now, Nick, when you're looking 2 weeks out, you've seen the progression that you had or expected and didn't get over the course of the last 2 weeks. What are you expecting? How do you feel right now? I mean, if you were put against the wall on this one, would you be able to say I'm 90% sure that I'll be ready to go whenever we roll into North Carolina? I'm only 60% sure, or how would you rate that?
Right now, I would probably say I'm 60% sure. You know, we struggled a little bit with my injury. You know, as bad as it was better than what it could have been, but then it kind of got a little worse. So I've been having to go back to the doctors and get fluid drained out of my leg from hitting it so hard. And we got a couple other issues. But, you know, like I said, I feel strong. I got a great, you know, support team behind me. So, you know, it's great. And they're not pushing me either. You know, I guess in realistic terms, you know, we'll play it out by ear. I don't want to come out and get my butt handed to me, I guess. You know, I want to still maybe get my butt handed to me, but at least I know myself, you know what, I did 110% of what I could have did, and that's the best I could do that day, you know, so I'll just go from there.
And it's good to know that your team is going to stand behind you, man, because I know oftentimes, you know, you get in a situation like this, you get a substitute rider coming in riding your bike, and then all of a sudden you start wondering, okay, does this mean I'm ready to lose my ride because of this? Because you don't seem to be at all worried. And honestly, I got to tell you, the folks at Beta USA, they seem to be pretty stoked on and continuing the program with you too right now. So it's a good home for you, it looks like.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Beta USA is great, and they're not pushing me at all, and they're just, you know, they're pumped on me too, coming to the races, supporting my team, you know, being out there, and it, you know, one hand washes the other. It all works together, and we got a great thing going, and I'm just as happy for Drew as if I was out there riding, you know. So it's good, and you know, we're working together, and just excited to see how the race unfolds. I know I was down there at the 8-mile marker, and that mud hole's getting pretty gnarly. So there's a lot of racing left. Anything can happen.
So there is mud on this track.
Yeah, there is mud. It ain't much. It's a ravine and a little bit and another ravine, but just the bottom's falling out, and the jumps they have to take. It's pretty technical, and I'm not sure how long it's going to last. So that'll be exciting to see, you know, because that's coming in. You know, you figure the last lap, if they're in a battle or whatever, that's 8 miles, you know. So there ain't many more miles after that, you know, to make a pass.
No, there's not. And passing is. Have you heard? As anybody said, I know talking with the ATV riders, there was a lot of tight racing, but we saw yesterday passing seemed to be at a prime. Are we seeing the same thing on the two-wheel side today?
I tell you what, you know, what I've seen in the track, you know, the fast line, you know, the main line is the fast line, but the way it's looking right now, it's getting pretty choppy and pretty rough, and there's a lot of optional lines starting to open up, and I think passing's, you know, it proves it. Like Stu Baylor, you know, he was so far back on the start. Like, I mean, they were going into the woods when he got off the line. You know, I think he pulled the whole shot in XC2 class. But, you know, he's moving up front, and he's a man on a mission right now himself. So there's got to be, you know, some openings there where they can get around, you know, and we'll just, like I said, we'll see what happens.
Well, that's awesome that you're able to be here, watch these races, and analyze them like that, and still be a part of the team down there, man. I mean, things are going good, Nick. I hate that you're injured for sure, but I think that you found yourself a nice new home down there at Beta USA.
Yeah, definitely. You know, hopefully my injury, we can get it around and get back out racing. And you know, like I said, I can't thank everybody in my corner for sure. And,
What's it like working with Rodney Smith, 5-time GNCC champ?
Yeah, it's what a privilege, you know. And last year, you know, I got with Beta, and Tim called me and said, hey, we're gonna hire Rodney on as, you know, rider ambassador and help with the program. And I was like, wow, what better guy to have, you know? And he came aboard, and the knowledge that he brings is just, you know, it's unbelievable. Like, he helps in so many ways, and race strategies, and just so many avenues. You know, I can't even explain it. I can't thank him enough. And Kevin, you know, my mechanic, that guy is unbelievable too. He's so supportive. I mean, if I told him Saturday night I wanted to ride my bike, he'd let me ride it and get it all ready all night long to race it on Sunday. So, you know, I like I said, I can't thank the whole team enough. They're amazing, you know. So I'm just bummed that I'm not racing, but I'm still so happy I can be a part of them, and you know, just looking forward to get back out there and battle with these guys, you know, and just see where I stand.
Well, I can't wait to see it happen too, Nick, and we're going to turn our attention back to the racetrack here, but I'm glad to see that everything's going great, and I can't wait to see, once you get turn our attention back up here to the monitor now. We're out near that 9-mile marker, actually working toward the finish line, it looks like, as we got some amateur traffic making their way through. That 258 machine now checking in, or going by. One of our top B riders, I believe, that's out there on the racetrack. We see latest riders checking in at the finish line are in our 4-stroke A lights class, and No, that's after 2 laps. I went through most of our classes. Actually, I went through all of our classes, the A classes there a few moments ago with 1 lap complete. Mikey, keep an eye on the screen here. When you see something, let us know. But when I take a look at what's going on in some of these B classes after that first lap of racing, and a lot of these guys do in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Corey Jordan leading the Open B. Adam Hollenkamp is in the number 2 spot. Colton Hale in 3rd. 4th place, John Campbell. And Ethan Grieve rounds out your top 5 aboard the 349. In the 6th place position, Dawson Dobson. He's the 492. 7th place, 720, Matt Ruffy. In 8th place, 373, Dominic Jarvis. 9th place is the 511 of Craig Oberholzer, and Timothy Whitmire rounds out your top 10 there in the Open B class. As we look to 250B, Tyler Martin, 760 out of Parker, PA, is leading Blaine Kimry. Kimry, the 438, is second with Dakota DeVore, the 526, in 3rd. Chase Sweda is your 4th place ride. Mike DeLosa, the 441, rounds out the top 5. 284, Brian Day is 6th. The 308, Paul Crutchlow in 7th. Will Busick, the 252, is 8th. Grant Kerfman, 430 is 9th. And James Fawcett rounds out your top 10 in the 250B class. And I don't, oh, my button, push that button right there. Go ahead, update.
Caleb Russell, Thad Duval, still waiting on 3rd. Here comes Sipes. He's about 10 seconds back now.
10-4, copy that. What mile marker you say again?
Just past the 7, coming in Josh, the camera guy shot.
10-4. Wow, so there you have it. There's 989 of Thad Duval. What looked like, hey, you know, he's going to do a few things here and there, maybe lay back a little bit. He got that pitting strategy out of the way, and he's putting himself in position to make that work right now. As you look at the big picture, he's gotten around Sipes. He's back into just a second or so off the rear wheel of Caleb
there
Russell.
He is right now.
And right there they are. And you think about the grand scheme of things. They go into the pits right now, Johnny Gallagher, and they come out. Chances are, unless Caleb's able to stretch this out a little bit more, chances are we're going to see Thad Duval coming out of the pits with the lead if Caleb Russell makes a pit stop this next time around.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and 2 things come into play there. Number 1 of which is this will be the first time that we've seen Thad really have a lead by himself this year. You know, he and Caleb were back and forth a little bit at the last one, but if you really think about it, Caleb led the lion's share. I mean, we might have seen Thad in front of Caleb for a mile or 2 here or there, and basically it was kind of those 2 just glued together. Well, this is going to be not only Thad having a lead, but having an opportunity to build a gap, which we never saw him have that opportunity in Florida. And even if you think back to last year at the end of the season, because what was it, 3 of the last 4 races, we saw this same battle between Caleb Russell and Thad Duval. They were never kind of really separated, and when the gap did grow, it was always Caleb who was putting the gap on Thad. It was never really Thad who was out front and you know, able to build that gap to make Caleb be on the chase. And 2 things come into play when you start thinking about that. Number 1 of which immediately for me, bad Thad comes into mind. You know, Rodney, I can't count the number of times I've heard you say it, and I don't mean to change gears here, but I'll tell you what, Stu Baylor is on the charge, and he is continuing to chip away at that gap and getting even closer now to that lead pack. And you know, I'll tell you what, I think unless, as we look back through here, I was trying to look to see exactly where Ashburn was at, but these are some lap riders coming through. But, you know, bad Thad is bad fast. We've heard you say that so many times. Well, here's an opportunity for Thad to put that world-class sprint speed to work. If he can get out front, put Caleb in his dust, and get out of sight, that's the biggest key. You know, when we talk about these gaps of 4 seconds, 7 seconds, it might as well not be a gap, because when you can see that rider, it gives you all the confidence in the world and all the knowledge in the world, and it's almost an advantage to be in second place because you know exactly the effort level that you're putting out. You see everything he's hitting. There we see Trevor Bollinger, now the number 5 JCR Honda machine, working his way through. through this dusty clear cut section. I tell you what, it was really dusty out there yesterday. These guys have a little bit less of a contact patch on the ground, so not quite as much dust kicking up, but still there's some sketchy stumps in there. And, you know, so you've got that advantage, as we were talking about, of knowing exactly how much effort you're putting out. When you're in the front, all you can do is push for all you're worth and try and get away. And you don't know if you're making any ground unless you're getting pit boards. So, you know, in one regard, it'll be an advantage to Thad Duvall to be in front, clean air, and have an opportunity to stretch his legs and use that speed. On the other hand, it might actually be an advantage for Caleb as well, because if he can close that gap back up, he can kind of cruise on that rear wheel of Thad and let Thad do all the work. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out over the next couple laps. But, you know, one thing you have to know for sure, Caleb Russell is a thinker. You know, he thinks these races through. He's got a plan coming in. He didn't win 4 championships by accident. And, you know, he's a racer, he's a thinker, and over the time.
7 mile mark, XC2, Lane Michael has Josh Toth on his knobbies, fighting at him, ready to make a move.
Wow, 10-4. Thanks for that update. There's some information for you right there, Josh.
Mike Witkowski, about 15 seconds left.
Wow, Josh Toth has made up some ground since that first lap of racing here.
Caleb and Thad, you're the 9, and they're shot down.
We should see that battle coming by here on screen any moment, because they were just behind Buttrick, who just came through. There it is. Josh Toth makes the path. You've got a new leader in XC2. He's leading. Lane Michael now on his rear wheel. So Toth, we talked about him having to climb through the cap all day, do the Stu Baylor, and now not only has he got the lead, but he's stretching it out a little bit.
Wow, getting updates from XC1 and XC2 right now. We got some really good radio traffic going on right now, guys, and really doing a great job, Jeff Russell and Hollywood, a.k.a. David Kripe. If you know him on a personal level, you don't even know what his name is, I don't think. I just happened to see his license one day laying down in the floorboard of his truck. Hey, check it out. Here comes, is that Witkowski?
That is Witkowski. And I'll tell you what, Rodney, you know, Lane Michael is a good friend of mine, and you know, obviously want to see him do well, but I saw quite a bit of struggle in his riding through there, so I don't know if possibly something happened, or maybe he just got into a little bit of a bad rhythm there, so we'll find out here real soon.
We got a report, and we saw it there about a lap ago of him being without a front number plate, and we saw, and he didn't seem to really have been slowed down as we watched Jordan Ashburn make his way through here at the 9-mile marker, but we didn't see a lot of sense of urgency or problems out of Lane Michael. He looked like he was still in the flow of things, but he was missing that front number plate. But then again, you know, maybe there's been a mistake or a problem or two that has arisen since then that we're not aware of.
Yeah, and one thing, you know, you can, in all these races, things are cyclical. They kind of go in circles, and, you know, you can be in a good flow for a while and lose it, and just as easily as you lost it, you can find it. And the opposite is true. Sometimes you can be, you know, struggling, find it, and lose it again. So, you know, that's, I think, a lot of times why we see these gaps grow and shrink and grow and shrink. It's not that all of a sudden these guys just decide to go fast.
Right.
It's, you know, sometimes you're feeling it, sometimes you're not. We see Craig DeLong, I believe that's our 4th or 5th place rider in XC2, the number 9 Coastal Racing Husqvarna rider, working his way through that clear-cut section. He looks like he's charging pretty hard. It's a rider that we've seen sitting in 5th as we show the last time they checked in, and you know, that's a rider that we've seen on the box at the last round. Very nearly thought that he was going to make that charge for the win there at the end, and then came up just short of Josh Toth. And I tell you what, Rodney, Josh Toth for me has really been the story thus far of 2017 in that XC2 class. Really impressive, solid, and even when it looks like he's down and out, suddenly here comes that 206 machine.
Well, look at this right.
XC3, just past the 7.
Go ahead, update.
You still got old man Jason Thomas in the lead, and Jack Edmondson just nipping at his heels like he's just playing games, biding his time. Those two got a huge lead on 3rd, it looks like.
10-4, copy that. Thank you, Hollywood. And, you know, talking about Josh Toth there just a second ago, Johnny, yeah, this kid on fire, on rails, no doubt. A 32:03 lap time for Lane Michael, who is your leader. 31:33 for Josh Toth on that last time around. He had a full, looks like Russell Bobbitt and Ricky Russell going at it right
Battle
now.
of the Russells. If we throw Caleb in there, we got 3 Russells.
Who's got the most muscles of the Russells, I guess.
It's a Russell muscle trifecta.
But there goes Ricky and, again, our
Russell Bobbitt. And we do have an interview with Ricky Russell. You know, we've seen a lot of great things out of him, and seeing him back on the NFAB and Pro Yamaha team has been quite a joy here in 2017. As we said, we caught up with him coming into this weekend.
Yeah, I've always practiced starts and been a pretty decent starter, and get off to good start, and then kind of struggle. I've always struggled with arm pump. That's been a big issue for me, and this year, actually, that hasn't been my issue at all. Been off to decent starts, and then just making stupid mistakes early on, getting stuck and crashing, and just kind of. Then I have to pick myself up and come back from that. So. Kind of just need to minimize the mistakes early on and get that good start that I have been getting. I wanted to race woods, and back home there's not real good woods series. There's Works, which kind of died off a little bit, but it's all kind of desert stuff and faster stuff, and so I kind of wanted to be in the woods. And some of these woods are still real fast, but it's woods, and so I enjoyed it a lot more and was able to come over here and make a little bit of a name for myself and get a ride with Yamaha, so I'm pretty happy.
Well, there we go. We got that little update there from Ricky, and he was talking about the good starts he's been getting. Obviously, we saw him up front in Florida leading the way for quite some time.
Right on.
And then also talking about, obviously, coming out here from Washington State, how he ended up here, and the decisions that led to that. Here we see Ryan Sipes on screen, the 264 Coastal Husqvarna rider.
This is your third place ride. We missed Caleb. Wow, there's Caleb Russell in the pits, and that's what I was just talking with Jeff Russell about just a few moments ago as we were in that interview there just a moment ago. He was talking about this going to be a pit lap, and he didn't expect that, or he kind of expected that these riders are going to pit, but he didn't know that Thad had pitted the lap before, so we could see some big changes taking place there. So that's pretty interesting as to what we just bared witness to there, if you want to know the truth, folks. And Jeff Russell also made the statement, these guys look like they're out for a joyride right now. I don't know when they're going to turn it on, but it looks like they're about to, is the exact words he said. Now here's the battle that he was talking about at the 11-mile marker. The fourth place battle is Stu Baylor is pulled up on the rear of Jordan Ashburn now, as they're now within 25 seconds of those top three riders.
You know, we've been talking about Jordan Ashburn closing up that gap, and here comes the big 514 machine of Stu Baylor. He's on the hammer, and he says, hey, I want a piece of this podium battle. I want to get up in this thing. So he's on the charge now, coming all the way from last. He's making it look easy as he's just picking off one run rider after another. Look at this. These guys, it looks like they're going to be pitting very near each other. Here's the factory beta pits. Ashburn, they're having a little trouble getting that fuel can in there. He doesn't look like he's going to take any goggles. They're looking down. They're watching Baylor, and he's off, and he's on his way. So we'll see if there is a change in that number 4 spot at the end of... This would be the very end of, oh, they cut away. That would have been the very end of VP Fuels Pro Row, so he could have found out who was 4th, but I guess we'll assume that things stayed the same until we see him on screen next. We're out here in this field, and the next rider we should be seeing is the number 5 JCR Honda rider, and there he is, Trevor Bollinger, working his way through. He's been on the charge all day, and just when it seems like he's making up ground, it seems the results show differently. He's not losing any ground, but he's also not making any up. Keep in mind, just 2 laps ago, he was wheel to wheel with Stu Baylor, and those guys were the guys on the mission. Now he's a good minute and a half or so back of Baylor.
Here comes another race. There it is, Russell Bobbitt and Ricky Russell again continuing to go at it. Jeff Russell giving us a heads up on these guys coming back into our camera shot. And look at this. They are neither one relinquishing themselves to that position. They're both pushing just as hard as they can, as we got a new leader after the pits, and he makes his way into the finish line now with the completion of lap number 3 now in the history books. Bad Thad Duvall is now your new leader at the end of lap 3, a 30-minute, 51-second lap time. Caleb Russell will be checking in here in just a moment. What's the gap look like? 7.1 seconds at a 31.08 lap time. But again, remember, Caleb did take that pit stop, got a full tank of gas. I'm sure maybe some new goggles and such. And he has certainly got himself in position. Thad Duvall took advantage of a situation there a lap ago by getting passed by Ryan Sipes and made it pay huge dividends right here on lap number 3. In lap, here comes the 3rd place right now. of Ryan Sipes. He seems to maybe have lost a little bit of ground, maybe an extended pit stop for him there that time around, but it was 7 seconds that Caleb Russell lost, and maybe, well, obviously a little bit more there for the 264 of Ryan Sipes. As we go to the Rockstar Husqvarna pits, there's Josh Strangen.
At the XC2 at the 11, wheel to wheel, no sign at 206.
Oh. Can you repeat that, Jeff? I just caught the last part of it.
At the 11, he got Lane Michael, and he got 282. Is that Wachowski, I think? They're wheel to wheel now, and I haven't seen in 206 of Toth come out here. That was the Toth. Now it's Wachowski and Lane Michael in the XC2.
10-4. Thank you very much.
All right, a couple things developing on screen there. In addition to that XC2 update we got, we did see that Stu Baylor has gotten around Jordan Ashburn, made the pass, and pulled a little bit of a gap on him. And also we saw, when we saw Josh Strang in the pits, I looked down and I looked at the time, and I don't know if we've commented on this. We talked about Thad Duvall pitting off sequence. What he did, though, is he made it mandatory for himself to pit again.
206 back and forth with his handguard off. 10-4 on that, Jeff Russell. Dropped back to fourth place, got the handguard ripped off of his bike. So Toth was making up some major ground out there in the XC2 Pro class and finds himself a little bit behind the 8-ball, but still in a good striking position. Let's just hope he's okay and maybe can muster it back up and see what's going on. We see the NFAB and Pro Yamaha pit crew heading back to the pits right now. You can better bet they're going to be trying to get that fixed for him.
Yeah, that was actually Wibley's mechanic there, so I think they're chasing that XC3 battle. But yeah, Toth, you know, he was on the charge. He was really rolling there, and we could have easily seen him open up a gap, but that's the price you pay sometimes when you're pushing just that hard. You know, it sounds like he either clipped a tree or made a contact with another rider or maybe the ground. Either way, we see Trevor Bollinger on screen here, and Bollinger continuing to run in that 6th place spot. And those guys are, you know, they're really charging hard, and it seems like I said, Bollinger, as hard as he charges, he just can't seem to make up any ground on that top 5. He's still a good ways off of Jordan Ashburn in 5th. Now we know Stu Baylor has made the pass for 4th. Obviously a change for the lead with Thad Duvall leading the way, Caleb Russell in 2nd. But as I was starting to say there, Rodney, you know, we talked about Thad pitting off sequence. Thad will have to pit a second time. You know, there's, unless, to my knowledge, there's no way that Rockstar Husqvarna can go upwards of 2 hours, which is what he would need to be able to do. Where Caleb Russell, having pitted at right at an hour and a half, he's not going to need to pit again.
Now, I know we've seen Caleb Russell in weeks past ride like the 250 and have to go and stop a couple, an extra time or so during the race. What is Caleb riding this week? Is he back to the 350 or still?
Caleb's still on the 250, but I think the issue they were having with the 250 that he was having to stop an extra time was in the sand. You know, he's just wringing that poor little thing's neck.
Right.
And I think they're using a little bit extra fuel. And that's, we did just see Russell Bobbitt checking in. And we're looking over here. I'm assuming what we're watching for most likely is our XC2 battle for the lead. Those guys should be working their way in here.
New leader, 989. Then number 1 coming to the water.
So we're getting some updates that we're already familiar with, but we know where they are right now. Yeah, 10-4. What's the gap looking like between those guys right now?
Probably about 50 feet.
Yeah,
maybe 2 seconds.
We see it on screen here. Caleb Russell has closed it up to the rear wheel of Thad Duvall. Thad Duvall charging hard, but Caleb Russell is right up to the rear wheel. Oh, he was there. There he is there.
Wow. So 52 seconds back is 3rd place Ryan Sipes, by the way. Just to give you a heads up, there's Caleb Russell right now working his way through. So we got Thad Duvall out front, Caleb Russell in 2nd. I'm pushing close to a minute now. Back to Ryan Sipes. Let's look at some lap times here. 30:51 for Duvall, 31:08. We know that there was a pit stop.
Finally, 3rd place, Sipes goes by.
So 31:58 for Ryan Sipes. That opens up that 52-second gap. We look back to Stu Baylor, who's 24 seconds behind at a 31:18, conceivably with a, what is that, 40-second faster lap that we're looking at there for Baylor over Sipes. We should see Baylor actually reeling in Sipes here within the next half a lap or so.
Yeah, you know, that gap's going to continue to shrink, I guess, based on the pace that both those guys are on. Here we see Jesse Grum on screen working his way through now in that XC2 class. No, that's not Jesse Grum. I'm sorry. That's don't know who that is. We'll have to check and see. Is that a new XC2 leader?
That's Drew Higgins, I believe. That's the substitute ride there for Nick Davis, whom we were talking about for Beta USA.
We must have missed. There is Josh Toth. So that would be our third place rider in XC2, then Drew Higgins. Because Toth is now fourth. Here we're seeing Toth on screen. So we must have missed our leaders coming through there. But one thing we did see in VP Fuels Pro Row, we did see our XC3 battle. XC3 came through the VP Fuels Pro Row. Leading the way, it was Jason Thomas, and glued to his rear wheel, Mike.
Lap that we're looking at there for Baylor over Sipes. We should see Baylor actually reeling in Sipes here within the next half a lap or so.
Yeah, you know, that gap's going to continue to shrink, I guess, based on the pace that both those guys are on. Here we see Jesse Grum on screen working his way through now in that XC2 class. No, that's not Jesse Grum. I'm sorry. That's, I don't know who that is. We'll have to check and see. Is that a new XC2 leader?
That's Drew Higgins, I believe. That's the substitute ride there for Nick Davis, whom we were talking about for Beta USA.
We must have missed. There is Josh Toth. So that would be our third place rider in XC2, then Drew Higgins. Because Toth is now fourth. Here we're seeing Toth on screen. So we must have missed our leaders coming through there. But one thing we did see in VP Fuels Pro Row, we did see our XC3 battle. XC3 came through the VP Fuels Pro Row. Leading the way, it was Jason Thomas, and glued to his rear wheel, Mikey, it was again Jack Edmondson. How many times have we seen this so far in 2017? We're 3 races into this, and it's almost like this battle's on repeat.
Yeah, it is, and I think that has been how the podium has went the first 2 rounds, and it looks like it's going to be just about the exact same thing here this weekend. I know Thomas talked earlier about just trying to stay on his heels for this race and try to make a pass in the end, and that's shaping up to be another good one.
Yeah, you know, these guys, and here we see our third place rider in XC3, Paul Whibley. And Rodney, if we can get a update on that live scoring there, I think we've got another shakeup in that XC2 class. Lane Michael came through, but right on his rear wheels, it looked to be. What do we got going on there in that
Actually, listen to this. It's a whole different shakeup. We totally missed this. The last time we got a report off the racetrack, Lane Michael and Mike Witkowski were wheel-to-wheel battling it out. Mike Witkowski out of North Liberty, Indiana, now has a 35-second lead over second place Drew Higgins, the 285 Beta USA rider. Then in third place, the 206 of Josh Toth. Fourth place, the 523 is now in fourth place. So Lane Michael has dropped back to the number 4 spot. Pit crew for who? Can you come back on that? Pit crew for Ben Wright to finish line, please. Pit crew for Ben Wright to the finish line. So big changes taking place there, as we said, but it's Michael Witkowski that has moved to the front of the pack in this XC2 250 class.
And here we see the battle for the XC1 lead, and it's heating up. Caleb Russell running some different lines. Thad Duvall really pushing hard, but you know he can hear that little 250cc KTM behind him. And he's going, man, I just can't shake this guy. He's making dust. He's probably dragging his feet. We can't see it on screen there, but he's doing everything he can to make Caleb's life harder. Caleb's giving him everything he can handle. It's fun to watch these two battle. You know, you got to think back to all the years that these two guys have spent riding against each other on minis, you know, and amateurs. They've always been kind of a class apart, but they spent a lot of time riding together, being from the same area, good friends. They rode bicycles together. Now here they are, two of the best off-road pilots in the world. Had the opportunity, obviously, to go over and win that 6 days gold medal last year together, bring that trophy home to the United States for the first time in the 91-year history of that event. Those were 2 of the 4 guys that made that happen. You know, really, definitely really cool to see these guys battle each other as hard as they do, but you know the history that they have. It's exciting to watch, and it's definitely fun to get a front row seat to all this. But man, you know, so much exciting stuff going on here. It's just crazy to me to see that, you know, the shakeups in that XC2 class, and this is kind of more, Rodney, you know, if we think about it, this is more what we expect out of the XC2 class.
Right.
With the kind of uncertainty. These guys are younger. We call them, you know, kind of the go-for-it kids, you know, and this year it's been more consistent. We've seen the same riders up front. They've kind of been doing the same things. They've stayed within themselves. They've ridden smart. They've been smooth. Well, I'll tell you what, today they've all taken turns. And look at this. Here's the battle for the final podium spot. Stu Baylor has closed that gap down to 0. Well, he opened it up a little bit, about a second there. But Ryan Sipes leading the way, making dust. And you know he's thinking, I've heard the frustration in Ryan's voice a few times during those off-season races saying, is that Jordan Ashburn there as well?
I believe it may have been. He's not far off pace with these guys. You know that he got it. Stu got around him, but I don't think that Jordan was going to let him get away too far. So this could get real interesting with a three-way battle shaping up for the final podium spot.
Can't be certain, but I think that was Jordan Ashburn just behind those two. But you know, I spoke with Ryan Sipes at one of the off-season races earlier this year, and asked him, you know, hey, what's up? You seem like you're frustrated. And he looked right at me and he said, I can't understand how Stu's going so fast. And he was dead serious. He said, you know, I'm riding these tests to the best of my ability. I'm doing everything that I can. I feel like I'm going as fast as I can. I come in and I know I killed it, and they tell me that Stu beat me by 8 seconds. Wow. He said, I just don't see 8 seconds faster on the table. And he was just really frustrated. So, you know, he's got to be, when he sees, as well as Ryan is riding, obviously been in a podium position for an hour and 40 minutes, you know, he's got to be thinking, this guy just won't let me have this.
Right. He's going to be a thorn in his side. You know, I know that Ryan, it's not a case of Ryan has slacked any. It's not a case of the fact that Ryan doesn't put any pressure on himself, doesn't put any sense of urgency of doing well here. It's totally the opposite. And talking with him, he tells me he's never trained harder in his life for anything than what he did for this upcoming 2017 season when I talked to him there at Big Buck. And that's saying quite a bit, because he's trained hard, he said, in his life. But he says he knows that he has to train like that in order to be close to the level these guys are performing at right now.
Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. You know, these races are so demanding. You know, we've all sat, anyone watching the show, anyone who's you know, obviously involved in GNCC, more than likely has at some point sat and watched Supercross. And, you know, you see the science of Supercross, and you see all the stuff on social media of what Ryan Dungey's doing, what, you know, Blake Baggett's doing, what all these guys are doing, and how they train so hard. And don't get me wrong, they do. But, you know, now imagine trying to train for that intensity level, which is exactly what these guys are doing, but then have to hold that intensity level for 3 hours.
Crazy. Not
for 20 minutes plus 2 laps, you know, not for 15 plus 2 for the lights guys. 3 hours. So, you know, it's an entirely different animal. It takes so much physical toughness. And speaking of physical and mental toughness, Josh Strang really hanging tough in there today. Certainly not seeing what we know Josh is capable of, but given the injury, this is the best we've seen Josh ride for this amount of time. You know, right. To keep himself up in that top 10 overall, and to be able to do so, you know, really says a lot about his mental toughness.
Well, Josh Strang, obviously, with some injury, and that happening back at the ISDE, and coming into the season a little bit down. But, you know, talking with him earlier this morning, he seemed to be a little more upbeat than he was in South Carolina, and then when he was, you know, when I've talked to him since then as well. But I tell you, he's on the mend. He's working forward, and it's not going to be long before he is going to be mixing it up with these guys. And we did have a chance to catch up with him leading into this weekend from RacerTV.
Yeah, I had just come together with a lapper, and it's one of them things, you know, we come up behind the lappers and we rev at them or whatever, let them know we're there. Well, he hit the brakes, so I thought he's letting me by. But then when I gassed it to go past him, he also gassed it. So he changed his mind, basically, and we ended up in the same rut at the same time. Not a big crash or anything. We kind of bounced off each other, and I got kind of tossed over the bike. Well, I caught a foot peg right in the groin, like, too close for comfort to some valuable stuff. So anyway, I almost passed out, and then the medics came and they set me up and almost passed out again. And apparently there's a nerve there where I got hit that's pretty important too. So anyway, it's fine now. It's better now. I'm still not 100%, but make a go of it this weekend.
Well, he's doing a great job of making a great stab at it, that's for sure, as you pick up the action here in the lead of the XC2. Mike Witkowski out front here.
That is Drew Higgins, we believe, now in second place.
Oh, okay. We had, they told me that they were coming. Witkowski was coming through, though. There we go. Witkowski came through during the feature. There is Drew Higgins, second place. He was 35 seconds back. I've got to wonder, is that tightening up any back there? As Josh Toth seems to have closed up the gap now on Higgins, because that's not a 30-second gap between those two boys.
No, and he's made his way, he's put quite a bit of a gap on Lane Michael. So, again, I think that struggle that we were starting to see with Michael, we don't know if it's an issue with the bike or the rider or just kind of losing that flow. You know, he was so fast early, and now it seems that he's kind of struggling to find that groove, to find that speed. And it looks like possibly, yes, he's now lost that spot to Jesse Grome. Jesse Grome now taking over the 4th place spot, which would bump Lane Michael all the way back to 5th. So looking to see, I'm not sure if that is Michael behind him there, but now we're seeing the number 15 also missing a handguard. So something out there is gobbling up these handguards. They got one of Toth and one of Gromes, and that is not Lane Michael there. So we're still waiting and watching for that.
Race fans said, hey, can I have your handguard?
I tell you what, if you got a dedicated race fan out there that's willing to grab handguards off of bikes as they come by, and now we have a new 5th place rider, Lane Michael pulls over and lets Craig DeLong by.
Wow.
So obviously there is some type of a struggle going on with Lane Michael. We do not know if this is bike related or rider related, but he is definitely not at the pace we saw him earlier, and willingly giving up positions, pulling over and letting riders in his class by. You can see he's taking a look back. He's got one hand off the bars. He is not charging. I would have to believe that at this point, if it's an issue that can be addressed, he's going to address it, and if not, we may see him for the next hour and 15 minutes just in points conservation mode, trying to earn something to keep himself in the hunt for that championship.
How much of a heartbreaker has that got to be for Lane, man? It seems like every time he gets up and rolling, man, something tries to knock the wheels off with what's going on for him.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's tough to watch because the kid is such a talent, you know, and he works hard. Sometimes it's just, you know, you gotta work your way through those struggles. Obviously, we've seen it with riders like Stu Baylor. You know, he went through, and here we see again. I don't mean to change gears, but guess what? It's XC3. Who do you think it is, Rodney?
I'm going to say it's Jack out front this time.
No, still Jason.
You're kidding
No,
me.
Jason leading the way. Jack Edmondson glued to his rear wheel.
I didn't see him go through. I just saw the big plume of dust. He wanted Jack out front, and he was, you know, Jack must have been listening to him and said, we're not going to play that game today.
I think it's quite the opposite. Whatever Jason Thomas says he's going to do, he does the opposite. The whole day that meant he was wanting to lead. You know, Jason Thomas is the master of the head games and the social media stuff, and you know, it's just his personality. I don't think he does it to be funny or to keep guessing. He loves it when people are talking about him. So, you know, in his mind, obviously, you know, he made some comments, not anything in a bad way, but, you know, that he felt he had more to give those first 2 races, and you know, he made I believe it was a post on social media of his face on the podium, obviously looking disgruntled or you know, not content. And he said, this is the face you make when you know you have so much more to give. And his good buddy Stu Baylor came on and said, I don't think you have anything more to give, buddy. That was it. So that's the kind of relationship that those two have. But you know, it's good to see. I mean, you guys being over here, and you know, those guys essentially being from, you know, not exactly the same town, but near each other in the UK. Both of those guys obviously know each other, and as you pointed out, Jason kind of looked up to Paul when he was young. Well, now Jack can look up to Jason and in the process try and beat him. So it's a good little dynamic those two guys got going, and they've also got a pretty good lead over Paul Whibley on that Ampro Yamaha, who's currently in 3rd.
How about the experience that Jack is gaining through racing in this XC3 Pro-Am class?
I tell you what, and I mean this with the utmost respect, to have to race Jason Thomas and the level of mind games, the lead experience, track savvy, everything that he brings to it, and the way he's able to get into people's heads, even spectators. Like he's a masterful craftsman when it comes to all parts of his racecraft, which is why he has those championships that he has. You know, he's a great racer, he's a great talent, he works hard, and you know, for Jack Edmondson at 18, 19 years old, whatever he is, to have to race against Jason Thomas in his first season, to potentially go for wins in a championship, you know, by the day he's making himself better, and he will have Jason Thomas to thank for that at the end of the season.
Was that Chris Venditti that just walked by?
Chris Venditti did just walk by. Looked like he had a little something on his left knee there.
Yeah.
I know he did have an injury and sat out the race in Florida.
Right.
So didn't see if he actually went to the starting line today or not.
I don't think so.
But you know, cool to see that those guys are still here and supporting their fellow racers.
Good update.
Duval holding a 2 seconds on Caleb, waiting on 3rd.
10-4. Wow. So Duval still got the lead out there. Just out near the 11-mile marker. Sounds like we got an update ready to come in from the pro pits. What's going on down there, Mikey?
Yeah, hey, Rodney and Johnny G. I'm down here with Rick Michael. Talk to us, man. Lane Michael looks to be getting passed out there. What's going on right now?
He says he lost his suspension. The front and rear both not doing hardly anything, so he's just going to try to ride it out. We was going to take the time to change it, but we decided he'd better just try to finish with what he had.
All right, so we'll send it back to you guys in the booth.
All right, thanks a lot, Mikey. And wow, that's a tough break, and you know that's a hard one to decide. I mean, he had an amazing lead, and then all of a sudden it went away very quick, and we noticed that something wasn't right. Obviously, the number plate missing, and then the gap just continued to shrink, and he just kept going back like he threw out the anchor or something out there. So we see now what the issue is, and you know you're in a position. You know you got some time left in the race. Do you take a little extra time and try to fix that, or do you just salvage what you got out today? Because possibly if it takes a little longer, you might lose more in the end by making the change.
Well, you know, that's one of those gut check things, and he's got a great guy over there, obviously, and his dad, Rick Michael, you know, they've got a lot of experience. But Barry Hawk, 8-time GNCC champion, obviously piles of experience there. You know, I know for me it would be a no-brainer. You can't stop and change suspension. It would be one thing if you can stop and change clickers or adjust something. But from what it sounded, pull forks, pull rear shock, and I can tell you right now, even with suspension off, sitting there and waiting, you're looking at a minimum of probably 8 to 10 minutes to swap a rear shock and forks. I mean, it maybe could be done a little quicker, but either which way, you're going to see yourself out of scoring any points in that XC2 class today. And if you do that, you know, in my mind, you go out, you try and salvage, if you can, even just 1 point. You know, and I think he could salvage more than that, to be honest.
Right. I think so, too. But Stu Baylor right now, fluid through the 7-mile marker out in the wasteland right now. Jordan Ashburn, can't say anything bad about him either. He looks great right now. And just not as aggressive as we saw him there on that first and second lap there a little bit ago, but still rather aggressive. But man, I tell you, how fluid is Stu Baylor looking right now? I mean, he was riding up on the smooth sides of the berms of those turns out there. He looked like he was riding the rail through there.
Yeah, Stu looks great. You know, he's up on the pegs. And where is the 264 of Ryan Sipes? Because unless we missed him, he should have been by now. Last we knew, it was those 3 riders pretty much nose to tail. And now, what were the gaps when we saw him last?
Well, I think there was 30 seconds that separated, and remember, I told you halfway through the lap that Stu should be, in theory, if you're looking at lap times, be able to make the pass on Ryan Sipes for the number 3 position. There was a 24-second gap.
There's Sipes, so definitely something happened. Well, Stu is in 3rd, and Jordan Ashburn is now in 4th. So Sipes has dropped way back. He has lost a lot of time. Something definitely happened to Ryan Sipes, because when we saw them last going the other direction in this clear cut, it was Ryan Sipes glued to his rear wheel with Stu Baylor, and we were pretty sure that it was Ashburn who was glued to Stu's rear wheel. Well, we haven't seen those guys. Now look at this. Trevor Bollinger has caught up to Ryan Sipes. So Sipes lost a couple of minutes in there. Something happened.
Yeah.
He went down to experience some issues.
Well, when we last saw Ryan Sipes was 52 seconds behind Caleb Russell, the 2nd place rider out there, and there was 24 seconds back to Stu. We did the math and we saw what happened there, but yeah, there's been quite a bit of time lost there.
Update. Yep, it's Duvall and Russell.
Here they are.
Where
we'll
we
see
at?
Them on screen.
We're at the 9. I'm sorry, what did I say? 11. They're at the 9 right now, right here below the camera.
10-4, Jeff. We see him on screen now, man. Looked like a good race.
I'm sure it's really going to get good when a 2-lap car comes out.
10-4, copy that. Didn't you say a few moments ago, looks like they're kind of on a trail ride right now, but look out, it's about to get serious?
Yeah, I think the fun factor's about to end when the 2-lap car comes out.
10-4, copy that. We can't wait. So, you know, Jeff's got a pretty good point. I mean, these guys, and he's raced, you know, he's a former racer in this series and stuff, so he knows, you know, even though it's a little bit different, he knows, he's watched these guys ride enough to know that, hey, at this point in the race, it's a good time to maybe take that little break, settle in for a couple moments before that last 1-hour push that's getting ready to come up.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. And one thing that's important to remember, you know, we were just talking about how these guys have to train for 3 hours. The physical part of it is difficult, incredibly difficult. You know, if people could truly go into the gym with Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall and go on these road bike rides that we go on and, you know, see what you put yourselves through. And Caleb Russell, after the Florida race, posted a picture of his heart rate monitor. I don't know if you guys got to see that or not. He posted it on Instagram. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but I know that he was upwards of 90% of his heart rate as we see the 3rd place rider, Stu Baylor, on the charge trying to make up ground. They're giving him pit boards. This guy's not content with just a podium. No, he wants to try and run down the leaders. It's going to be a tall order today. He's got a big gap to make up.
Wow, Stu Baylor, look at that. He just stops
Get a
in
quick
mid-stride,
swig.
grabs a drink of water. I mean, look at that. That is amazing. This kid is that water or a milkshake right there?
That was
this kid drinking.
He just pulled in from Steak and Shake, got himself a cookies and cream to go. And when he said to go, he means to go now. Look at this, Ashburn on the charge, still keeping Stu Baylor honest. Even with the milkshake stop, he's still able to hang on to that third place spot, but Ashburn's still right there and still putting pressure on him.
All right, Hollywood, repeat that last update about that XC2 class.
Mike Witkowski, number 282, in the lead, just past the 7. 10 seconds back is. 10 seconds back is. Hang on, somebody saying the XC2 rider's down back before just about the 7.
Well, that is.
Witkowski in the lead, 10 seconds over Josh Toth. XC2. No sign of Lane Michael, but they just yelled at me saying an XC2 rider's down just a little ways back.
All right, well, we'll get that checked out. Lane Michael himself is back because of suspension issues right now, but here we come, man. There's Toth, and that is starting to open up. That looks a little wider than 10 seconds now, so Witkowski must have got some pit board or something out there that told him that you need to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, I tell you what, Witkowski's a rider that we've seen, flashes of brilliance out of.
Yes.
But, they're kind of, okay.
All right.
But he just went by me, missing his visor, left handguard all knocked around.
10-4, you say that was Higgins then?
Yes, but he's back up and going, still in third. Fourth place is number 15. Now I see Craig DeLong coming in 5th. I did not see Lane Michael. I don't know if I missed him or if you guys know if he's out or what.
He's dropping back right now. He's having some major suspension issues, so they're just trying to salvage points right now at this point.
Roger that, but Higgins, no visor, left side of his controls are all messed up, but he's still
There was
going.
a good shot of him right there.
And still in third place. Good ride for him. Now update. They have a mile marker there at 11. Yeah, Thad and Kayla. I guess he is dropping the hammer, and no sign of Thomas yet.
Well, there we go. So Jack Edmondson took over the lead in XC3. Man, we got battles all over this track in all three of our XC classes, XC1, XC2, XC3. Here we see the XC1 battle on screen. Thad Duvall opening up that gap just a little bit over Caleb Russell, so it's the 989 Rockstar Husqvarna. Thad Duvall out front, bad Thad putting that bad speed, but look at Caleb Russell running the cushion on the outside, and he's saying, buddy, I know one thing that you don't. I already stopped for fuel. You got to stop again.
Yeah, that's going to be that might be the deciding factor. It paid huge dividends in his favor early in the race, but here late in the race it may do just the opposite.
Well, it's been basically exactly an hour since we've seen Thad stop. So, Thad basically has to stop either this lap or next lap because the 2 lap cards should come out this time. So one of these next 2 laps, and you would think if possible he's not going to want to stop on the white flag lap. If anything, he's going to want to, and there we go. That answers the question. Thad Duvall stopped now because he definitely did not want to be stopping on that white flag lap. That's kind of putting yourself in a hole to have to dig out of in only a lap. So I think this battle's far from over. Now, Thad Duvall is on the chase. Caleb Russell's got to be the bird out front, and old Thad's bird dogging him down.
Yep. Yeah, wow, man. I tell you, we couldn't have scripted a better race than what we're watching. Same thing yesterday, man, that couldn't script as good a races as what we're watching and bearing witness to here in Georgia this weekend as we see Russell now just trying to take as much advantage of that scenario and situation as possible. We saw him on the attack coming in to that section. He knew Thad was going to have to pit. I think he had that in the back of his mind, and man, he's trying to get inside the head of Thad, or at least get outside the sight of him, so he's inside his head, making him think about some things.
Speaking about inside his head, right now, Stu Baylor trying to get in the top 2's head. He's got a good gap, though, that he's got to make up. I don't know, with 2 laps left, you never can put anything past a Baylor late in a race because those boys, they just go to those fuel tanks that they carry around, and somehow they make it work on the last lap. But, obviously, here we see our previous XC2 leader now limping that machine as, his mechanic and his dad, Rick Michaels, said the suspension, both front and rear, major issues. We were thinking about swapping it, but we're going to leave him out there to try and gain some points. So I can tell you right now, folks, when you're trying to ride a machine at the pace that these guys are going, without having those bump sticks working properly, it really takes its toll on you. So physically, you know, mentally, he's obviously got to be frustrated. Physically, he's got to be exhausted. One rider that's not exhausted, Stu Baylor, there working his way through VP Fuels Pro Row. He's hammered down, and he's trying to track down that top 2. We'll get a split when they go through the finish here in just about a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Well, checking out the GoPro footage there on Pro Row. There is the number 4 machine again, Jordan Ashburn making his way through the pro pits. Got to say thanks to GoPro, be a hero. We got some really good shots courtesy of our friends at GoPro this week, and we'll say thanks to them for providing that opportunity.
Yeah,
so I was just going to say right now, we're just basically waiting with bated breath at the finish line. These guys are due in right now, and they're coming that way. Here comes that. Look at that, man. He is trying to paddle that bike, trying to keep it going faster, man. You can see. Now, this is funny, you know, in years past and in races past, you know, I've never seen Caleb Russell looking and checking as much as what he has. I mean, he's riding with more of a sense of urgency now late in the race than I have seen him in the last couple of years. And that goes to show you the level of competition, how much it raises, and it shows you how much respect I believe that Caleb Russell has for Thad Duvall to have to keep looking back just to make sure where he's at.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Thad Duvall is a world-class talent. We've never doubted his speed, but there always seem to be those, you know, what we would call bad luck. But when it happens to the same person over and over, you got to believe that it's something to do with either their preparation or whatever. And I tell you what, we've seen is such a difference in Thad over the last 3 years. You know, he got hooked up with that KR4 team with Fred Andrews. They added so much consistency, but they still just didn't seem to have quite the resources, or things just didn't pan out for him to be consistent. You know, riding-wise, he was there, but it was just issue after issue with, you know, with the bike. It was every race it seemed like he was having bike issues, and he'd be up there leading or in the top 3. Next thing you know, he was gone. It had to be frustrating. Well, this year, you know, having changed to that factory Rockstar Husqvarna team, unfortunately, starting off the season with the mechanical was not something that he wanted to do. But what we've seen since then is how consistent he is, and he's really matched Caleb Russell, you know, more or less step for step these last 2 races. And tell you something else, you know, we've talked a lot about this guy on screen here, Stu Baylor, and his preseason preparation. You know, it's been rumored that he lost 45 pounds, all these things. We know he's been working hard. We know he's obviously fit. We can see that. Thad Duvall's kind of slid under the radar, and I was at a photo and video shoot with him on Monday, and I looked at him, and I said, he said, yeah, they gave me the wrong size pants. These are supposed to be for Trey Kennard. And I looked at him, I said, what size are those pants? He said, 30s. And I said, you've got them buttoned? He said, yeah, they're real snug, though. I said, Dad, how much weight have you lost? And he just kind of looked at me and snickered. He said, you know, a little. Thad Duvall has lost 20 pounds. And now, apparently, he's lost the 2nd place position and taken over the 1st.
Wow, that's all right. My radio got turned down as far as for the updates there, but it sounds like that we've got a new leader. Thad Duvall, according to what we've just gotten reported, is back in the lead. Guys, I'm sorry, my radio got bumped down there and I didn't hear the update, but is there another lead change that's taking place out there? Okay, I just got a report from the NBC Sports camera crew that Thad may be back out in the lead, so keep us abreast on what's going on there.
Waiting for him here at the 2, Rodney, and then your camera guy at the water truck pond will have it.
10-4, we'll wait with bated breath, brother. And that means we're just going to be sitting on pins and needles right now.
Yeah, this is where we'll see them next right here. They'll pop out next to this pond. They'll come into this field. They'll do a big U around the tree and take back off. But looks, no, that's
a lot of lap traffic.
Yeah, that's not them there yet.
They're shooting at 3rd.
So
Trevor Bollinger on screen here working his way through. We believe he is now up to the 6th place spot. He may have gotten around Ryan Sipes. We'll have to wait and see if he did make that pass or not. Actually, I'm sorry, that would be 5th if he got around Sipes. What do we got there, Rodney? We get an update. Did Sipes check in yet?
Not yet.
So it's going to be Bollinger because he's in there right now.
Right.
Here we go. Battle for the lead in XC2. Mike Witkowski, Josh Toth goes around the outside, and they go into the dust and disappear, so we'll never know what happened.
Well, we will coming up soon. We'll just have to wait until the next camera shot coming up here. But I was just looking at Russell and Duvall.
Update from the 2. You are correct. Thad Duvall in the lead. Caleb Russell right behind him.
10-4, copy that, Hollywood, thank you. So there you go.
On camera shot.
So here they come. When they come back out here at the 11 in just a moment, we should be seeing them come, or at the 2-mile marker. I'm sorry, the 2-mile marker. When they come out here at the 2-mile marker, it's going to be some intensity with Bad Thad up front and Caleb Russell in that number 2 spot. And there they are right there. There goes Duval. Right now, the number 1 spot as we've dropped back just a little bit to catch that second place ride. Where is Caleb Russell?
Whoa. Well, the camera froze there.
Oh, did it freeze?
Yep.
Okay.
Now it's back to live. Uh-oh.
Mercy sakes alive. Something big going on there for sure. So we're getting reports that he was closer when the camera froze. It stayed frozen just long enough that Russell was able to get through that shot. And it's not as much a sense of urgency as I don't think as what it seemed there visually. So yeah, our camera froze. Russell did go through that shot, they tell us. So we are golden in that department. So it's about a 2-second gap that's separating Russell and Duval right now. Baylor, by the way, 1 minute and 22 seconds back. He just turned a 31.06, which was just a little bit faster than Thad's 31.07, but Duval had to stop for a pit stop, and looks like a 30.55 for Caleb Russell. So right now, Stu's found a pretty good zone. If he stays right where he's at, that's an impressive ride again, back from, well, I guess dead last in the class all the way up to a 3rd-place position, man. This guy has just been ridden 3 unbelievable races in a row.
And there we see Craig DeLong. That's a rider we know is on the charge. He was outside the top 5 early. Here we see Stu Baylor again out at that 2-mile marker by the water pond. He's charging. We know he's about 1 minute and 20 back of that battle for the lead, but solidly in a podium position. Certainly can't get lazy, though, because Jordan Ashburn's still back there stalking him. Not that we would expect Stu would. We know he's fit. We know he's training. We know he's charging hard. And I tell you what, he's looking towards that ice cream. I know he said if he wins, but I got a feeling he's worked hard for this podium, and if he can hang on to it, I'll buy him an ice cream.
I'll buy him an ice cream, man. I mean, he deserves it.
You know, one other thing, as we watch Jordan Ashburn on that number 4 factory beta working his way through, you know, Jordan really seems well adapted to that beta.
Yes.
You know, he's really kind of made that switch almost seem effortless. There we see Wachowski was our leader in XC2, but when we saw them last on screen, Josh Toth looked like he was working on him to make the pass, and that may in fact be Toth. That's a blue machine in front of him, and it is not. That's Corey Buttrick, but there was a blue machine in front of that. So somewhere in there, we'll find out if
I'm not seeing anything. Yep, Josh Toth has checked in. Josh Toth is your leader.
Yep.
Toth has gotten around Mike Witkowski, and 5.3-second gap between 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, so that battle's still raging on, far from over. Those guys are going to have to settle that one in the last 2 laps of action here. But another thing that we saw on screen, or I'm sorry, actually out the front of the TV booth a moment ago, we should get an update in that XC1 class. Uh-oh, Drew Higgins finally giving up the ghost. We know that he was still out there trying to charge hard with that visor off. He has now lost a bunch of time and is well outside of a podium position, has actually been passed by our leader in XC3. There is Jason Thomas. We think we might have missed Jack Edmondson. We'll have to wait and see if he has come through. And there, okay, this is what I was talking about right here. This is, oh, actually, this is Duval. So Duval out front charging, and we'll see if we can get Caleb Russell in this shot as well and get a split on exactly what that time is as they went by there. And there is Russell, so just a few seconds. Those guys are still real close.
But if you think about it, flip that around just a couple of miles ago, and Thad was actually a little further back behind Caleb Russell than that. So the questions that come to mind is, did Caleb make a mistake? Did he get in some lap traffic? Did Thad go that fast to make up that gap and put that gap in?
It's a 3.5-second lead for Duval over Russell.
A lot of factors coming in there, Rodney. You know, it could be in any one of those things or a combination of them. You know, it's those guys are pushing it. They're at the highest level right now. Heart rates are maxed out, I can assure you that. And like Jeff Russell said, when we see these guys next, they're going to be pinning it. There we saw a momentary shot of Paul Whibley, our 3rd-place rider in XC3. There he is again, that Ampro Yamaha. Paul Whibley out there. He's a visiting former champion here just for a few races, having a good time. And I tell you what, he pulled a massive hole shot in that XC3 class today. Whibley used to be Mr. Hole Shot in XC1. Well, he might be on a little 125, and he's certainly not a small man, but he still makes the whole shot happen against those kids. So you got to give him credit there. Now we see Jesse Grom, the number 15 machine. He's out there pushing, and looks like another XC2 rider behind him, and there it is, Craig DeLong. So is this 3rd in XC2 now obviously with Higgins out or falling back? This is the battle over our 3rd place spot, is it not?
So it's Toth, Witkowski, and now Jesse Grom and Craig DeLong up from a 5th and 6th place position as they both get around both Higgins and Lane Michael that time. So they are battling for that number 3 spot, Johnny.
Absolutely. And now here's what we were talking about, or I was starting to talk about a moment ago. Josh Strang is on the charge. Did not expect to see this. If we take a look at that XC1 running order, he has bumped himself up quite a few spots there in the last lap. When I last saw him, he was making the pass on, who do we got here? Okay, this is Ashburn. This is a different section. This isn't a battle going on here, folks. We've now moved over from the 2-mile marker to the, or I'm sorry, yeah, from the 2 to about the 3.5. So those labels in the upper corner, they're a little off. It looks like that is Ashburn, though, still in that 4th place spot, not too far off of Stu Baylor. But Josh Strang is charging, folks. He is obviously probably won't see him up in a podium position today, but where does that put him? Looks like Strang all the way up into 7th. And when we saw him last on screen, he was battling Ricky Russell. And from the looks of things on what we just saw on screen, I think he's actually gotten around and away from Ricky Russell, which puts him up to 6th. We'll have to wait and see when they check in at the end of 5 laps complete. But with 4 laps complete, Strang from outside the top 10 all the way up into 7th. He's gotten his way around Bach, Buttrick, Baylor, and was battling, and Russell Bobbitt, and was battling with Ricky Russell when we saw him last. Here we see Drew Higgins speaking with former multi-time GNCC champion Rodney Smith, obviously shaken after that crash. It was a valiant effort he put up with no visor, bent up controls. He was still trying to charge, run in that podium spot, but Rodney, I think when he gave up that podium spot, maybe the reality of the severity of that crash set in. Obviously not injured, you know, he's standing there, but looks like maybe rung his bell, so maybe we'll get an update on that.
2 hours and 12 minutes into this race. Thad Duvall has once again gotten around Caleb Russell, leading him with just a couple of laps left to go. Stu Baylor has worked his way all the way back from dead last in the 3rd. Can he close up any more gap? Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
Wiseco Performance Products is your one-stop solution for racing. They've got the products to keep you at the front of the pack. From their well-known high-performance pistons to industry-leading clutch baskets with a lifetime guarantee, they've got you covered. For performance you can count on, remember Wiseco. One name, one solution.
You smell it, you feel it, you can taste it in the air. Speed, man. Full wide open. Blast. I didn't really like high school too much. Too booky, too take notes, learn this, and that's it. Got WyoTech, that full-size motorcycle. The feeling of taking them apart every day, putting them back together. You can't explain it. Everything I learned applies to now. Seeing your motorcycle that you put together right around the track at 180 miles an hour, oh, definitely rewarding. My name is Mike, my school's WyoTech.
Get on the fast track to a career, turn pro at WyoTech.
Razor, Ranger, Sportsman, Ace. If you live for the outdoors, there's a Polaris to match your passion. Confident, comfortable, capable. That's Ace. With a solo cockpit, automotive controls, independent suspension, all-wheel drive, and up to 45 horses of fuel-injected power. Calling it revolutionary would be an understatement. Polaris, the world leader in off-road innovation.
And welcome back to GNCC Live as we pick the action up here on the 99 machine of Paul Whibley checking in the XC3 at the FMF XC3 Pro-Am class there, Johnny. And that's still a 3rd place position ride right now as he checks in behind Jack Edmondson out front with a 24-second lead over Jason Thomas, who has 2 minutes and 40 seconds flat over the 99 machine now.
And there we see Josh Strang, and he has made the pass on Ricky Russell. There was what we were talking about just a moment ago. Ricky Russell taking a look over his shoulder saying, anybody else back there want a piece of me? I've been fighting all day, and now this dang Strang guy that I thought was out injured, he comes up and takes the spot away from me. So he's probably not too happy about that, but impressive to see the fight Strang's putting up. Had an opportunity to actually speak with him earlier this week, or end of last week actually. He stopped by before the Alligator Enduro, rode a little bit of Chad Wienen's property there in Daytona with Chris Bach, and talked to him about exactly what was going on with that foot, and he just said it just takes time. He said it's really not anything rehab-wise or anything he can per se do to speed it along. He said all he can do is just, you know, when it allows him to, he puts weight on it and he rides, and when it doesn't, he kind of has to just let it heal. So he said he's done a lot of research into the injury, and it sounds like it's kind of one of those fickle ones that kind of comes and goes, but I think, you know, rather than me telling you about it, I think we had a chance to speak with Josh himself, and he gave everybody a little update on exactly how things are with his condition coming into today.
Yeah, it's back racing again. I didn't really want to take up Florida, but I think it was the best thing to do. That's probably the roughest track of the year, and Big Buck didn't go so well. We started the race, got a hole shot, which was good, and then it just straight away I could tell that my foot just for that track was already so rough to begin with, so it was just easier for me to call it a day there. And then we had Big Buck off, and then Florida off, sorry, and then I did the National Enduro last weekend, and it felt the foot's getting better. I mean, it's every week. I think I said that at Big Buck, it's getting better, but it's just a long process. So tomorrow I think we're in better shape than we were at the first round, and I just want to go out tomorrow and finish the race and do that, and we'll start from there.
Well, there you go. Start from there, and Strang doing a great job. Another rider doing a great job. Mike Witkowski, the 282 RPM KTM machine here, working his way through the wasteland, and he is second in that XC2 class. We know that last we had seen at least the 206 Ampro Yamaha of Josh Toth, the winner of the first 2 rounds, had worked his way back to the front after having been there, gone down, gotten back up, worked his way back up, dropped back again, and now has worked his way back to the front, and he's all alone out front there. Here we see the 314 KR4 Arrive and Ride machine, Husqvarna of Grant Baylor, working his way through our shot. We got some other riders coming through there as well, some lapped riders, some that are battling, but so now we'll wait. We should be waiting on the 3rd place XC2 rider, which, as we know, was that battle between the number 15 of Jesse Grum and the number 9 of Craig DeLong. Those guys are a little ways back, but yeah, you know, Josh Strang, we had an opportunity to check in with him there. He kind of gave us an update on exactly what was going on in terms of his recovery and when we could look to see him back at 100%. I would say, you know, the Josh Strang that we're seeing here today, showing on screen in 7th place, but we know he has made the move for 6th, gotten around Ricky Russell. You know, that's not 100% of Josh Strang, but it's certainly much more than what we've seen the last several rounds. Even the end of last season, obviously having to sit out a few rounds and let that heal, trying to come back, trying to ride, just not able to do so. It's a struggle, and it's a frustrating situation for Josh. But to see him out here today, and to be 2 hours and almost 20 minutes into this, see him still battling inside the top 10 overall, you know, that's a big step from where we've seen him obviously not even being able to complete the Big Buck race, having to pull off, knowing that he wasn't going to score any points, and being honest and saying, I'm in so much pain, I really can't even ride my dirt bike. In a 2-week span, to go from there to running inside the top 10, 2 hours and 20 minutes into a race, that's Josh Strang on the mend, and that's bad news for his competition, because we know a healthy Josh Strang is a rider that is capable of winning races. And now we see the 3rd place XC1 rider, Jesse Grum, and when we last saw him, he had Craig DeLong glued to his rear tire. Looks like, at least for now, Grum is all alone. There we see the number 9 Coastal Racing Husqvarna of Craig DeLong. He's made it a little bit hard on himself these last couple races. Seems he's having to come from deep within the pack. Today we saw him, I believe, at one point as far as outside the top 10, or at the very best at the tail end of that top 10. But he's spending a little bit of time looking behind him, taking a look to see who's back there. But the rider he needs to be focused on is that number 15 of Jesse Grum, and going after him if he wants to battle for that podium position. Now here we see, look at this, Jack Edmondson has caught up to the podium battle for our XC2 class from the XC3 class. We got a little guy from UK on a 125 Coastal Racing Husqvarna catching up to his upperclassman teammate of Craig DeLong, who's battling for a podium in XC2.
You know, it's amazing the feats that some of these riders can actually achieve during races like today. You know, I talked to him. There's the 2nd place ride, the 125 there.
Hey,
Jason
Johnny G and Rodney, I got an update for you here at Coastal Racing Pit Crew here with the guys. Tell us a little bit about Edmondson, his ride out there today.
So far, so good. Jack's he's really on the gas, and he's putting the hammer down, so hopefully he can take it to the finish.
All right, man, great work again down here at Coastal Racing. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. You got the update there for Jack Edmondson.
Well, right now we're watching out near the 3 and 7 mile marker, what they call the wastelands. But just a few moments ago, our NBC Sports camera crew actually got the lowdown on what took place whenever Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall got in their little battle there for the 1st and 2nd place position, and we'll go and check some of that footage out. I believe, Chelsea, is that coming up? There it is. Here it is.
Right,
it's courtesy of NBC Sports. This
here
is
we
raw
go.
footage right here.
Caleb Russell leading the way. He's on the charge. He comes around. This is, oh, he makes a wrong turn, misses the, has to turn around and go back the other way. And Thad Duvall.
And actually, that was where Walker Fowler made the pass yesterday to go into the to the lead, from what I'm understanding, at least what we've been told. Johnny's shaking his head. No, no, no.
Yeah,
no.
That's a different spot, but it is near there. But that is where that was the creek jump. Those guys, that was not the creek jump where Caleb and Thad were. That's another
Go
spot,
ahead,
very similar though. And what happened was Caleb Russell.
Still got like 3 seconds on Caleb, just past the 7, coming out to the camera shot in the open there.
10-4, thank you. Sorry about that, Johnny.
Oh, no worries. You know, that's exactly what happened though. There was Caleb Russell following a line around there, and you could see a bunch of riders went around. And obviously, that's one of those sections that gets rutted up. You get a new line, it gets outside. Well, he just was carrying a little too much speed. Suddenly realized he was on the wrong side of that ravine and couldn't get across it. There was no lip, but you know that allowed Thad Duvall to make the pass. And Caleb Russell got to be kicking himself right now, saying, "Man, I'm eating all this dust just because I blew that one line." So he's going to be on the charge. About a lap and a half left remaining in this one. These guys out in the wasteland.
And you know something to point out, Johnny, and I'm going to say, you say, well, that's untypical for Caleb to make a mistake. But if you ever listen to Caleb Russell's podium interviews in races past last year, you know, he'd talk about, I went down here, I went down so many times, I made a mistake here, and I made a mistake there. But the thing that we got to remember is that we didn't see people capitalizing on it before. When he was making those mistakes, he was by himself. And now, this year, it's been a whole different story. He makes those same mistakes, but when he... Wow, we're getting a report that Stu Baylor's on the move right now. But basically what we're seeing is maybe still the same amount of mistakes made by Caleb Russell. It's just that they're more monumental now because the competition is so much closer.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when you've got a rider like Thad Duvall or Stu Baylor, or obviously in the past we've seen with Josh Strang, you know, when you've got a rider that week in and week out is capable of keeping you in check, that's when you really start having to pay for those mistakes. When it's a different rider every weekend, or when you've got those big leads like we've seen Caleb with the 2-minute, 3-minute, 4-minute leads, you can go down a time or two and it doesn't make a difference. You can miss a line and you might be hard on yourself about it, but it doesn't factor into the results. We saw a momentary shot of Stu Baylor. There we see him again.
So it does, a minute 20 seconds, I think, is what we were looking at as far as that gap between those riders in second, third place position. And I'm not going to say that it's any tighter than that, but it certainly felt like it might be a little bit quicker than a minute and 20 right there. But at the same time, in these race-type conditions, time can go by pretty quick, and I think Stu knows that as well as anyone. As he's seeing the time slip away for himself right now, 2 hours, 23 minutes into this race. We're about 8 minutes out, 9 minutes out from what I believe will be a white flag. We're on lap number 5 right now. That will put us right just over 2.5 hours. We'll go another 31 minutes or so, and we'll be just over the 3-hour mark at the end of this when the checkers finally fly.
Guys, as we watch Jordan Ashburn on screen here, and again, can't give this guy enough credit. You know, he's fought and he's fought. He was up there. He kind of got pushed back when Baylor got around him, but he really hasn't let Stu go. He's still within that striking distance. You know, obviously, probably going to need a little bit of help, maybe a mistake from Stu or a really fast last lap to get back up in there. But a solid 4th place ride for Jordan here today so far. You know, I'm going to go ahead and hype things up a little bit. You know, Mikey, normally you're the hype man. Rodney, you're the king of all hype. But I'm supposed to be the color guy, but I'm going to go ahead and be the hype guy. How about it right now, with what we're seeing on screen? What if Stu Baylor would have gotten a good start? What if Josh Strang would have come into this race 100% healthy?
Oh, man.
We could potentially have 4 of these guys up here banging wheel to wheel.
And what if Ryan Sipes didn't suffer from his issues? That's 5 guys right there.
Absolutely. I mean, the list could go on and on. You know, what if Jordan Ashburn had been able to have a little bit more strength in the middle of this race when he gave up that spot?
That's
because
6 guys.
In the beginning he was strong, and now he seems to be strong again. It was just in the middle, and it wasn't that he was weak. It was just Stu was able to get a little bit of gap on him, and he lost that time to the leaders. You know, if he cleans up his mid-race, if Stu cleans up his starts, if Josh Strang comes back healthy, if Ryan Sipes comes back 100% healthy, throw Chris Bach in there as he gets more comfortable, throw Trevor Bollinger as he gets more comfortable on the 450. Now we got 10 guys that can win this thing. It's crazy. It's bar bangers.
The 989 Duvall, the lap rider.
Oh, that's that's bigger than a couple seconds there.
Wow. We still haven't heard Jeff Russell say. They say big lead right there. You see them say.
And a left rider in between them, it sounds like.
Here comes Russell next. He's about 10 seconds down now.
Wow.
10-4. Thank you, Jeff. Wow, there's Russell.
Working around those lap riders starting to play a bit of a factor for him.
Yeah, it certainly is late in the race like this. And, you know, there's a lot of questions I know that are on a lot of people's minds right
Something's
now.
wrong with Caleb Russell.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Something
that
must be happening.
That is not Caleb Russell charging. Something is wrong.
Yeah, he looks more like he's just settled into that pace right now.
He was standing up on the pegs. He was not charging. Don't know if it's.
If you got maybe you got a second, maybe you can answer. But we noticed on the TV shot when they just came by, Caleb didn't look to be pushing. Do you think there might be some sort of an issue that he might be holding back for right now?
I'm not sure, Rodney. I've been getting a lot of feedback from a lot of different people saying this is surprisingly turned out to be a tougher event than Florida, which I think is shocking. But I don't know if they got their suspension setups wrong or whatever, but there's a lot of guys that are just struggling with the roots and stuff here.
Yeah, copy that, 10-4. Thanks, Jeff. And that's a good point that Jeff brings up, man. You know, he's as shocking as it is, this may be a little tougher than Florida. And I can see it in some ways with those roots and stuff. I can see where that choppiness would certainly lend its hand to a very rough racetrack.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I don't know, Caleb might be a little salty with me for saying this, but you know, he and I have had a number of conversations over the last 2 years about the way he runs his front suspension, and I think it really came up and maybe bit him at this race last year because we saw him come in, have to get an IV after the race, and this track is really choppy, really rooty, and Caleb runs his front forks really stiff. You can see that when he rides them. He likes it because it allows him to really charge. But on a racetrack like this, you know, it's kind of deceiving how rough this place is because there's not big holes, but it's all this little square edge. It's a lot of roots, and you know, I'm not the expert here, but you know, on a day like today, maybe he ran into an issue between when we saw him last when he was battling with that, or did he just get to the point where he said, all right, I need to settle for second and take these points? We don't know. We'll find out when we see him next. If he's on the charge and he's trying to close that gap to Thad, we'll know that maybe he just had an issue, went down, had a lap rider or whatever, or like was pointed out, did he lose that, you know, miss on the setup, and is he just salvaging?
You know, we just saw Jordan Ashburn go by without his goggles on, you know, and you talked about that mid-race, you know, something happening there in the mid-race. You know, maybe Jeff was right, and you know, maybe the suspension setups are just a little bit off for these guys, and they are starting to wear them out just a little bit. But you know what? Right now, Stu Baylor doesn't seem to be having much issue with it, and neither does Thad Duvall.
One thing I can tell you for certain is that this track is deceivingly brutal on the rider. You know, it seems to be, we've only raced here twice, so it's not super beat up, it's not big choppy stuff, but it's a very, very busy track. It's a lot of turns. You know, we raced here for an off-season race in January.
Leader now, I think.
Yeah, Josh Toth, and there's another rider definitely not having any struggles at all. Well, aside from the fact that he's missing a handguard and he's been like a seesaw through the pack, back, forth. But, you know, leading the way right now, things are going smoothly for him. But, you know, we ran an off-season race here, and the track was really fun, really easy. Not easy, but flowed good, didn't beat you up too bad. But we did 6 laps in an hour and 40 minutes.
Wow.
You know, when the GNCC crew came in here with the same property to work with, they've got to make a track that's considerably longer, you know, and can hold more riders. And you know, if you look at it, a 6-lap race for an hour and 40 minutes, that'd be a 7 or an 8-lap race to go upwards of 2 hours, you know, and that's just something we can't have. So they've got to add in new stuff. They got to add in tight stuff. But when they do that, they're using a lot of virgin ground, which you would think, oh, you know, new ground, it's great. This place is so rooty. When you use new ground, those roots.
Caleb inside at the 11 coming out right now.
10-4, thank you. So it sounds like
Dad looks like he's had his arm. I don't know if he wrecked in there or what, but wow.
Wow. 10-4, thanks a lot, Jeff. So it sounds like maybe trouble for Thad Duvall now as this thing is tightened back up near the 11-mile marker. We'll be catching them on screen if not right now. I believe that is the case.
That's them. Caleb Russell leading the way, Thad Duvall in second. So just as quickly as we write Caleb Russell off for a second place, settling for it because of maybe missing on a suspension setup, he comes out and he's got the lead, and now Thad Duvall is chasing.
Wow, Duvall, I don't know. Again, he had a pretty monstrous lead there, and to think that, and I'm not taking anything away from Caleb, but you have to believe that something did happen. to Thad Duvall. Even Jeff Russell says they don't know if he went down or what. But
I'm going to go watch this. I'll be back.
So see you, Johnny. Johnny's going to go catch up with the action right now as we watch young Baylor.
He's about a minute 10 down, I think, now, Phil.
10-4, gaining a little bit. Wow, I tell you, man, this is some pretty good things here. If Thad wins today, he has a total of 3 wins already in the XC class. This could be win number 4 for that rider. So right now, I mean, he was on the verge of win number 4, it looks like. And believe it or not, he was that close. Something happening there, though, and Russell is back out front. And here's something interesting as well. Beta is in a position right now where they could possibly make a podium. If something happens to Stu Baylor right now and Jordan Ashburn is able to make it up around, or he gets that little extra speed, we may see Beta making the podium here. And Stu Baylor, believe it or not, came from dead last up to 3rd place position. So we've got some pretty cool storylines going on right now as far as this race is concerned. Ice cream position.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, that's an ice cream position for Stu Baylor. Love that little, thank you, Brad, for that piece that you put together, too, by the way. There is Stu Baylor, the ice cream boy, right now making his way through the pits, and he's actually going to stop, get a little bit of gas. The gap, 21 seconds. That was a quick pit stop there.
Quick.
That was real quick, just enough to keep that thing from running out. Hopefully they got a quick fill on that machine, because that thing wasn't in there but just a couple of seconds as far as putting the gas in. I know those things dump fast, but was it enough, and was it fast enough? He gets out fast enough anyway, the pits, to keep Jordan Ashburn from going by. And that was probably one of the critical moments of that particular pit stop right there, because Jordan Ashburn is, like Johnny pointed out a few moments ago, Mike, he's starting to find his speed and starting to find that comfort back there again.
Yeah, it'd be real nice to see that Beta up on the podium here. So certainly has a shot at making it, that's for sure, as well as Stu Baylor. You can't say enough about the guy. My goodness, he coming from last place, working his way up into 3rd right now.
Well, there is your leader in the XC3, the FMF XC3, and that is Jack Edmondson again. He's starting to open up a little bit of comfort zone over his nemesis in that class, the 125 of Jason Thomas. There is the number 4 again. That's your 4th place ride, the Beta rider we were talking about, that's looking at the possibility of podium. He's still got a little more than a lap to go to get it sorted out, but as we roll here toward the finish line here soon, we see that things are very, very tight between Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall still. So whatever happened as the white flag comes out, whatever happened on that lap that got Caleb Russell to be able to close that gap up and get back around Thad Duvall, doesn't seem to be hampering Thad so much, at least at the moment physically, that we can see anyway. So we may still see this thing continue to heat up. I was wondering and almost afraid that maybe something happened at that and we'd see him fade back. The tail of the tape's going to be in this final half hour, though, as we are now into the final moments, the closing moments of this 2017 Cannonball GNCC.
You know, we saw from Caleb Russell right there, you know, we saw him, maybe 10 minutes ago, and he kind of looked like there might be some issues. We talked about maybe that suspension. It didn't really look like there was a lot of urgency in him as he was in that 2nd place spot. But now that he's gotten an opportunity, he's out here in front of Thad Duvall, and when he came through that finish line, it looks like that sense of urgency is back.
Well, Thad Duvall was actually a little bit faster. He gained about 5 seconds on that last time around, believe it or not. Even being 2.8 seconds back, he still is in better shape than he was when he went into lap number 5 than whenever he came out of lap number 5. So lap number 6, it could also pay some huge dividends for him if he can put it all together. And it looks like the one a minute and 7 seconds for the 5:14 of Stu Baylor, as he has now closed that gap up a few seconds, about 15 of those actually, toward the 2nd place position with 1 lap to go. And looking at the grand scheme of things, it's going to be tough to make up that 2nd place position. But if anything happens, if Thad starts to slow down, if he makes a mistake, and or Caleb, same situation, I believe that we got Stu Baylor in an attack mode enough right now that he might be able to capitalize on things. We got Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, Stu Baylor, Jordan Ashburn, and Trevor Bollinger as we look at the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com leaderboard there. The white flag is out in this one And here comes the number 4 of Ashburn trying to split through some of this lap traffic out there, some of the lap markers, and it looks like they're going to get out of the way just fine. So this right here might tighten things back up for that 3rd place position, and we might see the possibility of Beta getting back on that podium once again before this race day is concluded, Mikey.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's going to be an absolute battle here with 1 lap to go between number 3 and number 4. So that would be pretty interesting. But talk about the storylines. Beta may be on the podium. Stu Baylor might be eating ice cream on the podium. Thad Duvall out there doing his thing. I mean, this thing is just something else.
Yeah, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at Johnny Gallagher. He comes running back.
Hustling.
I was cheering. There's a lot to cheer for.
Look, man, I might be working, but I'm still a fan. And these boys are putting on one heck of a show. From, Caleb fighting back from what we thought was settling for 2nd. Duvall obviously on the charge, not going to let Caleb have it. And Stu Baylor going from a minute 22 down to a minute 7. May not be, he may not get himself into this battle for the lead, but man, kudos to him for fighting all the way.
What about the confidence that he's going to be able to carry into round 4, man? I mean, he wins round 1. He comes from behind to 3rd in round 2. Same thing here in round 3. And in some of the roughest, toughest conditions that we have, man, I mean, this has got to put Stu on a whole new level as far as confidence, I would think.
Well, don't forget, Stu Baylor was on the podium here last year, and that was the only time we saw him on the podium last year. At this race, he was. It was one of those days where it seemed like everybody kind of had. I don't want to make it sound that way, but he capitalized on a lot of riders having struggles to take that 3rd place spot in XC1, and then there's this rider right here, the number 5 of Trevor Bollinger, who actually was the 3rd place overall rider, winning that XC2 class. So, Stu came in here with a little bit of extra swagger. I was actually here for an off-season race in January.
Out front, and looks like Duvall's about 5 seconds back.
10-4, Jeff. What mile marker you at again?
We're at the 2 with the pond, going around the pond. You can probably see him now.
Yep, 10-4. We got him on site right there. So there goes Caleb Russell, and that 3-second gap or less than 3-second gap is starting to open up a little bit. So there goes telling us what's going on there, at least at this particular part of the lap. We'll see whether or not maybe Thad can find some more speed. But again, we're going to be keeping an eye out as much as anything, not only on Thad, whether or not he can keep the pace with Caleb this lap, but what's going to happen if he don't, and can Stu Baylor maybe get one more position?
I don't think you're going to see Thad drop off of Caleb. He's going to stay glued to him the whole way, and if anything, make a run at him. Stu's put in a great ride for sure, and awesome to see him on the podium. But in a 1-7 gap with those guys nose to tail pushing each other, I could definitely see Stu chipping into that gap. Right. And obviously, if one of those two guys, as you put it, if one of them would go down or have an issue or bonk really badly to where they run out of energy, maybe. But to straight up run those guys down, no, not saying that if anybody's not capable of it, maybe it would be Stu. It's a tall order here today. Those guys are really pushing the pace there. And I'm gonna say right now, I think this race is gonna come down to one thing, and that's gonna be lappers. Because we've seen that these guys have really matched each other kind of step for step all race long. The speed's been there. Each of them has tried to kind of pull away and not successfully done so. It looked like maybe we had seen the gap, and we see Stu Baylor there. He's chipping into it. I don't know exactly what the gap was, but it's still around that minute mark as he comes by those CST banners there and works his way out at the 2-mile marker. So Stu Baylor still on the charge. And, again, hats off to Stu, because maybe he knows even at a minute, probably not likely to just outright run those guys down. But Stu's the type of rider that is going to leave everything on the track, because he would just kick himself in the pants if when he crossed the finish line, he said, hey, man, Caleb or Thad, one of them went down in the final corners. It took him a couple seconds to get up, and they only beat you by 10 seconds. Oh, he would just kill himself if he knew that he left even 5 seconds out on the track. So he's given it everything. We won't see him let up until the final turns, when he knows that those guys have already crossed the line, if that's what happened. Maybe you'll see him catch his breath then, but until then, no way. Stu Baylor's giving it all he's got. Another rider giving it all he's got, Ricky Russell. It looks like he's lost both handguards. So the handguard eating trees here at Sparta, Georgia, have really done a number today, Mikey. We can't even count the number of riders who are missing handguards, visors, front number plates. Yeah. There's somebody out in the Jeepers Creepers sections of this place has quite a few souvenirs from today. There's your XC2 leader, Josh Toth, leading the way on that reverse number plate 206 machine. 2 wins coming into today and looking to make it 3 as he works his way towards the white flag. He's made it a little bit hard on himself with that bad start, and then also whatever setback he had that lost, again, a handguard, you know, caused him to have to fight for it. Now we see our XC1 battle back on screen. Man, these guys are keeping us busy. Mikey, take over. Let me catch my breath.
Yeah, absolutely. You got Caleb Russell right out there in front, and just on his heels. Thad Duvall giving it everything he's got, trying to catch right back up with him. They're making it exciting here in the last lap.
Look at this, man. 5 seconds a few moments ago, we had a few moments ago, we had a 5-second gap. Now look at this. That gap is starting to close back up. These are the sections that I thought that we might see. Actually, Caleb starts to stretch it out, but that's just the opposite. We're starting to see Thad close it up a little bit, and any question that I had anyway about whether Thad was going to let up, I can see right now, you're absolutely right, Johnny. He's not relinquishing any of the time that any of it right now. And no energy whatsoever. He's expelling everything that he can out on this racetrack, into this race. It's not over yet. You know, it's still a long way away from calling this one. And Caleb Russell being out front, you know, traditionally, it'd be easy to say, well, Caleb Russell should be able to take this one home with no problem. Today, it's a whole different ball game, a whole different story.
Yep, and here we see, you're absolutely right. You know, these guys are going to fight a tooth and nail all the way to the finish. This rider right here has fought tooth and nail all day long today. We have not seen him on the podium or even battling in top 5 spots throughout this year so far. So the 282 of Mike Witkowski really putting the pieces of the puzzle together today on that RPM KTM, making it all work, coming through white flag, 2nd place, got a pretty good little gap over the 3rd place ride. So he's confidently in there. He's fallen a bit off a Toth, but still a great ride to lead some of this race. Stu Baylor still charging. Again, doesn't look like he's made up a whole lot of time, maybe a few seconds here or there, but I think we're going to see that slinky effect. But I'll tell you one thing, Rodney, that I want to point out. We were talking about it a moment ago when we thought maybe it was Caleb Russell who was experiencing some struggles, and you see Stu Baylor taking a look back over. So maybe things are kind of setting in for him. This is what we thought we saw with Caleb. Maybe we thought we saw with Thad. Guys, this track is tough. Really tough, and it's deceivingly tough. You don't go into it thinking it's Florida, man. I'm gonna have to really dig deep to even finish this one, let alone finish at speed. It's Georgia. It's supposed to be run of the mill. It's supposed to be normal. The tree roots, the chop, the way this course. Everybody that I talked to yesterday, all the riders from this morning, you could see it on their faces. Every one of them kind of tries to hide it, and that's part of that racing thing. You know, you don't want to let your competitors know that maybe you found some weaknesses, but I'm old and I don't have anybody left to impress. Rodney, I'm in good shape. I've been training. I've been riding. This place kicked my butt yesterday. The last lap, I bonked. I had nothing left. I was in the battle. I thought I was there. One little mistake.
And, you know, yesterday was probably one of the longest races in history, at least since I've been around. 2 hours and 15 almost. It was between 2 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think I ran almost 2:20. So it was not cool. I was not pumped. I know this morning a lot of the morning riders, I think they went like 2 hours and 15 minutes as well. They were kind of like, hey guys, we would have rather run an hour 50, you know, but hey, it's GNCC racing. We got those time parameters. They make the decision as best they can, and they have to make that decision 2 laps in. So when things speed up and you end up going further, or things slow down and you end up going longer, you know, it's just kind of one of those things that happens, but it's the same for everybody. Here we see Josh Strang now out at that 2-mile marker, continuing the charge, continuing to earn some points. You know, we're only 3 rounds into this, but maybe with the way things have gone these first couple rounds, he's not exactly thinking championship, but you got to believe he's thinking building blocks, and he's putting down the foundations for some good rides, for some, you know, podiums later in the season. He's working his way towards top 5s, then the podiums, and then wins will come. You know, a rider like Strang, you can't ever count him out when he's healthy, and it looks like today he's made some big steps towards healthy.
Well, Caleb Russell, again, if you're just joining us and wanting to catch the last few moments, is out front only by a couple of seconds over Thad Duvall in the XC1 Pro Class. Stu Baylor has gone from dead last up to the number 3 spot. Jordan Ashburn is 4th. Trevor Bollinger back in the number 5 spot. And check this out. Josh Strang still running a solid ride. Talking about points, he's going to score some today with 6th place right now.
I'll tell you what, let's talk about this, because we were just watching this on screen. We believe that is the 3rd place rider of Craig DeLong, or is he 4th? Can we get an update on that? Jesse Grom may have been ahead of him. Was it Grom or is it DeLong? But what I'm watching on screen right there, the number 118 reverse number XC3 plate of Jack Edmondson leading the way, has worked his way up to physically battling with riders over a podium position. Actually, it looks like Grom is still in third. How much of a gap does he have on DeLong there?
He's got 27 seconds.
So 27 seconds is basically what Jack Edmondson is off of the XC2 podium
Where does that put him in the overall then?
Oh, that puts him way up there. We should be able to click on that.
11th overall right now.
Wow, that is impressive. Jason Thomas not far behind, though, right there. So as much as Jack Edmondson and that Coastal Racing Husqvarna team are celebrating this third straight win that he may be on his way to, they can't get too complacent about it because, boy, that old number 125, UKJT, he's lurking back there. He's saying, oh, you want to see Crafty? I'll show you Crafty. Just a few seconds back of Edmondson there. Here we see Trevor Bollinger on screen, the number 5 JCR Honda rider. He's really kind of worked away at this one all day. No flashes of brilliance, just getting the job done, swinging the hammer and pounding the nails, making it happen.
Well, Caleb Russell, as we said, leading this with Thad Duvall, Stuart Baylor, 1, 2, and 3. Can Stu Baylor make up any more ground? Will he be able to hang on to third? Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
Whether you are looking for a 150 class or 600 class deer, X Factor Whitetails can suit your needs. We offer guided weapon of choice hunts for all groups of all sizes. From the time you arrive at our location, you'll get the 5-star service. We boast the capability of sleeping over 20 people comfortably.
Evans waterless coolant is the solution to boiling over, so you can push your vehicle like this, and this, and this, without fearing the temperature gauge. Evans waterless coolant. Defeat the heat.
Hey guys, I'm Tim Geiser riding for Honda Garibaldi Racing Team, and we are using Evans cooling, and I know that when I use that products, I know that my bike never will overheat, so I'm really happy with it.
Whether you were looking for a 150
GNCC
class
Live
or
here from
600...
Sparta, Georgia. Rodney Tom along with Mikey Waynes and also our good buddy, again, don't forget about Johnny GNCC himself, Johnny Gallagher, as we take a look at the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com leaderboard there. There's your top 10 overalls. You take a look at that. Russell Duvall, Baylor, Ashburn, and Bollinger. Then you got Josh Strang in 6th, but there's your XC2 class leader in 7th. Ricky Russell back in that number 8 spot. Then we have Mike Witkowski in 9th. He was your 2nd place in that class. And 3rd place in the XC2 class is all the way back in 14th place overall, Jesse Grom. And then Jack Edmondson, leader of the FMF XC3 class, is running in 11th place overall aboard the 118, and actually a little bit ahead of several top names, including Jesse Grom, Corey Buttrick, and Grant Baylor right now. So with this, we are moments away, within 20 minutes, actually approaching the 15-minute mark as Paul Whibley, former XC1 GNCC champ, makes his way in. If I'm not mistaken, this may be his last ride here for the 125 XC3 class, the FMF XC3 class, because he's going to be heading back home to New Zealand and so forth. But I know he was only going to do a limited schedule this season, but it certainly has been a true treat to see the champ back into the realm of racing, and hopefully we'll get to see a lot more of him in the future as time wears on. Right now, as we continue to watch here, I know that it's been a while since we checked in with any amateur classes, as we've had so much action on the screen. I think lap 2 is when I checked in with the amateur classes and haven't had a chance to go back. But let's check in with the top amateur. We always like to try to showcase those riders. It looks like our first non-XC1, 2, or 3 class rider is all the way back in 25th place. It's JJ Jonathan Johnson out of Landrum, South Carolina, a true GNCC product coming through the youth ranks. 258 class leader. He is 25th place overall and considered your top amateur as of right now, heading into this final lap of racing.
We just saw another rider on screen that I think may be one of our top amateur riders. It was Cody Barnes, the number 99. Well, I believe it's 199 is the number that he runs. If we get a look down through there, he's been on our podium both of the first 2 races. Is he up in there today?
He's in 30th right now in the leading the Open A class. He is also behind Cody Barnes, who is in the 258 class, just ahead of him, and looks like 4-stroke A lights class rider Cole Madison. And just to let you know, Cody Barnes is 3 minutes and 3 seconds behind
your leader there in the 258 class of Jonathan Johnson. So that might put Barnes back just a little bit might put that rider back just a little bit in as far as being a challenger for that overall today.
Yeah, we've seen Barnes on that overall amateur podium twice, once in first, once in second. It sounds like today is he our third currently overall amateur?
Yes.
Okay, so he's still on that podium there, so a good consistent run for him. Cole Madison, another rider that we've been waiting to see great things out of. We know was a standout. Look at the mini Winnie there. Did you see that thing on screen there?
I did not. I missed that.
The mini Winnebago. It was a great shot, advertisement for those guys. Winnebago, if you want to advertise with RacerTV, be sure to reach out through the website. We'd be happy to take your advertising dollars. We'll sell millions of those things for you. Just put it on our show.
Yeah, email sponsors at GNCC Racing.
Yep, there you go. Sponsors at GNCC Racing.
In all seriousness, if you'd like to be on board with anything going on in the GNCC racing world, whether it be RacerTV, the live broadcast, or even at the track, be sure and get a hold of the folks there at Racer Productions, and they'll be more than happy to set you up with a great package, and especially in this RacerTV package. Give us a call, man. We'll get you a nice little deal there.
Here we see on screen two different coastal riders on two different parts of the track. Alex Teagarden, a rider that we've seen as a standout rider in our 258 class. Looks like he's struggling a little bit here today. Doesn't look like he's on the charge. Craig DeLong on that number 9 Coastal Racing Husqvarna, still in 4th place in that XC2 class. Last we saw, I believe he was 27 seconds out of a podium position. And I believe Alex Teagarden, the number 309 there, was in 3rd in that 258 class. So still a respectable ride for him, but outside of the overall amateur podium positions. So he's not going to be happy with that. He's a rider that's very hard on himself when he doesn't do well, for sure. And look at this. We've got the 747. That's another one of our XC3 riders. Not sure exactly who that is, but that's an exciting class. And boy, I wish sometimes we could just have just the sound of that. Maybe turn it into a ringtone and sell it on GNCCRacing.com.
The sound of those guys taking off, you know, we kind of get it in that 200A class in the morning, or the 200Z and B class, and even in the 200A class you'll get it, but not at the level at which you get it in the FMF XC3 125 class. It really rings through there. As far as the XC3 class is concerned, Edmondson heading into the final lap out front with Thomas in second, 44 seconds back, 2 minutes and 40 seconds back to Paul Whibley. At the end of lap 4, it was 5 minutes and 47 seconds back to Hunter Neuwirth, the 747, and that was the rider you saw going through there just a moment ago. He's 4th place. Mark Oresco, the 412, would be then 5th. Jaron Williams, the 891, and 6th. Dustin Gibson is now up to 7th aboard the 911. Samuel Stamper, the 392, is 8th. Devin Welch, 370, and 9th. And looks like got an update coming in. Go ahead, update.
Holy crap, Thad Duvall's missing his whole front fender, number plate dangling. Caleb's got about 20 seconds on him.
10-4 on the holy crap there, Hollywood. Wow. I mean,
holy donuts, Batman.
10-4, copy that, and that just tells the story right there, buddy. I'll tell you, that holy crap probably is a way to put that. You know, you weren't expecting, but the front number plate, look, there comes Caleb. Oh, Caleb Russell just about pushed that one out. It's starting to get a little loose and choppy out there on him. He's pushing hard on that front end.
You know what,
he's looking for Caleb, or excuse me, he's looking for Thad over behind his shoulder, wondering where he is. I imagine he may have seen him go down, maybe wondering where he's at. But look at this, no front fender, no front number plate, the whole front section of that bike. The only thing there is the wheel and the forks.
And not slowing down. And you know, we kind of alluded to the fact that this seems like it might be rougher than Florida was 2 weekends ago. And I think just looking at the missing handguards, the missing number plates, and now Thad Duvall's missing front fender. Are you kidding me? I mean, this has just been complete chaos out here for these guys.
10-4. How much closer is Stu now to Thad than he was?
Probably 10, 15 seconds closer. I got a chance to get the clock on him, because when I seen that whole front fender gone and number plate dangling on that, it threw me for a loop.
Copy that, 10-4. There is Baylor. So we're going to get a clock on him and see if we can't see what the gap is between second and third. Track crew is expecting the possibility that it could happen, the realm of possibility,
could happen that we could see maybe Baylor catch up.
So Stu Baylor out there doing work right now. The AMSOIL podium prediction winner today on Instagram was, looks like Ian Green, 351. He had Russell, Duvall, and Baylor. So, hey, you are winning. What's he winning out there for the AMSOIL podium prediction? $250 worth of AMSOIL products, the first in synthetics. So big shout out there to Ian Green, the 351. Picking Russell, Duvall, and Baylor. You don't have to get them exactly right. You don't have to get them in the right order, but you do have to pay or play to win.
You got to pay to play?
Well, no pay.
No pay.
But he's getting paid.
Yeah, he's getting
$250.
paid. That's it. Great AMSOIL product. Thanks to AMSOIL, like you said, first in synthetics. And it looks like he might even have it right. It's not often we get those guys making the proper podium predictions, and that's not part of the criteria at all. All we want you to do is be involved. What a day.
Yeah.
You look back on this all right now, Mikey, and try to put it all into perspective. Wow. And I think that probably Hollywood summed it up about the best is it. Holy crap. I mean, that's about the way the whole day has felt today, man. I mean, there's been so many things happen and so many changes, and I mean, it really has kept us on our toes. And with the 3 top premier classes that we're keeping an eye on today, it's been tough to do much but talk about what's going on right there. I mean, and it's going back and forth. And we've had 3 really good battles. The XC1 Pro, again, we see Russell, Duvall, Baylor, Ashburn still in 4th, Bollinger still in 5th. Impressively, Josh Trang is 6th, Ricky Russell 7th, Bach, Baylor, Grant Baylor that is, and Corey Buttrick rounding out the top 10. As we go to the XC2 Pro 250 Pro class, the 16 to 24, it's Toth, Kautsky, Jesse Grom. That's your top 3. Craig DeLong in 4th, Zach Hayes in 5th, and Evan Smith in 6th, Trevor Barrett in 7th, Austin Lee is 8th. He's gotten up a couple of positions there, so good for him. Jesper Borgeson out of Sweden and now is 9th place, and Brendan Riordan.
After 9, I got a clock on him right.
10-4, Jeff, we're listening in, so we got a clock on Caleb or between Caleb Russell and Thad Duvall right now, so we'll be getting the answer to our question as to
15 seconds, here's Duvall, no front fender, no number plate. Still pushing hard though.
10-4, copy that. All right, so I'm saying about 3:56:50 was whenever we heard the call of Thad Duvall. And when we get that call there of Stu Baylor here within the next minute or so, we'll be able to maybe give you a somewhat calculated guess at what the gap between that 2nd and 3rd place position is right now. By the way, I was going to point it out before, but looking at those lap times in the XC1 Pro class, Stu Baylor been turning some pretty fast lap times. Actually, the fastest last time around by about 16.
Coming up right now, Baylor at the
10-4, copy that. And according to what I'm seeing there, we're down to like about 50 seconds. 10-4. So probably within 50 seconds, according to my calculation, is the 5:14 of Thad Duvall. But again, running out of time. Don't think we're going to see any passes made by Baylor on Duvall unless Duvall has even more issues. Another minute and something back to Jordan Ashburn and Trevor Bollinger in 5th as we continue to wait. We're about 6 minutes out from a checker flag, and anticipated checker flag for Caleb Russell. But again, it's still a long road to hoe in order to get there, and we'll see whether or not that's the case. We've seen changes already taking place in a couple of different circumstances, and a couple of surprises as well throughout the course of this day. So don't be surprised if you get surprised yet one more time.
Yeah, Rodney, you know what? I just want to give a shameless plug to RacerTV.com this whole weekend. We think of yesterday, how amazing that ATV race was, and then we come in here today. Caleb Russell's got a pretty good lead out there right now, but up until this point, we saw different lead changes. It has just been a spectacular season to this point.
It has, and kudos to the crew in the trailer and the camera crew, all doing great jobs. Welcoming aboard Adam Gordon, our new technical director. Chelsea has stepped back into a strict producer type role, and he's kind of technically directing that, and she's overseeing it all, and she's calling all the shots and everything. So good job to Adam, and welcome aboard to the Racer TV Band of Misfits, man. There's Ashburn making his way through. You know, regardless, a fourth place position finish today, man. I know it's not a win. I know it's not a podium, but you take into consideration new team, you know, what could have been possibly when it looked like he was really fading back at one point, and what he's been able to ride back to. Very impressive riding for that young man. I mean, the way that he has adapted to 2 brand new programs so quickly the last 2 seasons. He had that Westfield Power Sports KTM ride last year coming off of the NFAB Impro Yamaha ride, Westfield Power Sports. That was a whole new program, one that he had to work himself, and basically the same thing. Well, it's not the same thing. He moves into another factory situation there where he's riding with Beta USA now. So, and he's meshed well with that bike, and that's probably as impressive. He's had 3 different bike brands in the last 3 years, and he's ridden them all equally as well.
Absolutely. You know, Jordan's a rider that can really ride anything, and also take into consideration that he's a rider that we saw sitting in the pits at the Florida round because he was, we don't want to say concussed, but, you know, he wasn't exactly sure what was going on after a hard crash.
So Russell coming out the 11-mile marker. We're getting the radio reports right now. And that steps us one more step closer to the finish line. There's KR1 now making his way through some chicane. So just a little bit longer here, and we're going to be seeing the checkers come out in this one. And what a day, folks. I mean, if you're not over here by the finish line, get over here and get ready to cheer these guys on. Congratulate all of our riders today. They have all laid it out there on the line. Thad Duvall literally leaving pieces of his motorcycle on that racetrack out there. And he can see Caleb in these field sections. He can see that Caleb is kind of slipping away. But at the same time, when you look at the big picture, aside from that first round when he had some mechanical issues that took him out of this, Thad Duvall is a key player in this year's championship, and he proved that time and time again, even on the day that he was having problems and ended up having to end his day early. We've seen some great things out of him. We saw amazing things in Florida, nearly winning there, and being in the lead and having some opportunity to possibly take it to the top of the box here today, man. I mean, it's only a matter of time before we see the 989 in the middle of the box.
Absolutely, and it's only a matter of time until we see this guy working his way to the finish line as he comes through VP Fuels Pro Row, the #1 FMF KTM of Caleb Russell. And I'll tell you what, this race has been tough on these guys today. They laid it all out there, as you said, time and time again. It was like a prize fight. You know, these guys just throwing blows.
Slugfest, yeah.
Neither one of them really, you know, seeming to be even affected by the glancing blows.
Look at that motorcycle, man. I mean,
is that a motorcycle, or is that what left of a motorcycle?
That's what left of a motorcycle that Thad Duvall is riding right now. Crazy.
And they still, you know, they still have about a mile there, so anything can happen. I mean, we've seen so many things developed in this race.
Yeah.
I mean, for the fans' sake, I hope we see these guys come out wheel to wheel.
Right, that would be pretty intense, that's for sure.
Stu Baylor now out at the 11-mile marker, a rider that we've talked so much about today with his charges. He's charged his way up from the back, you know, and you gotta, the what if train starts with him. What if he would have gotten a good start today? You know, I gotta believe that he could have run the pace that these guys are running, and instead of 2 riders battling to the finish, we would have seen 3.
Right. And the dynamics of a 3-way battle are so much different too, by the way, so who knows how that one could have unfolded as we watch and continue to wait with bated breath. There's a 282 of Mike Witkowski we see on our screen here as he motors his way now toward the final lap as well, if I'm not mistaken, in that number 2 spot at last check. There's Stu Baylor making his way through the pro pits. And, you know, watching that bike, watching Stu's bike performance, man, I don't know if you're watching the way the suspension and stuff is reacting, but he looks like he dialed his in right off the bat because, I mean, the way that bike, the rebound, the way it's soaking up and absorbing those bumps and everything, man, I mean, he's got that thing dialed in right now.
Yeah, definitely Stu's suspension working great. The bike's working well, but one thing that we finally saw in that shot, and I've been kind of waiting for it all day, is when are we going to see a chink in Stu Baylor's armor? We finally saw it. He finally was like, man, I'm tired. You could see the body position drop, and rightfully so. I mean, if you didn't give it all, then you left something out there on the track, and Stu, definitely not a rider that does. He leaves everything out there, not leaving anything left to give, I guess I should have said. Here we see little brother, Grant. Definitely not the kind of performances we've been expecting out of him so far in 2017, but Caleb Russell coming through, standing up. You can see this guy is gassed, but it's going to feel really good when he crosses the line and gets that win. What do you think, Rodney?
I think so, as Caleb Russell makes his way through the final moments here at the Maxxis Cannonball GNCC through this Amsoil chicane, stepping closer to the winningest bike rider of all time and moving in on that record of Scott Summers. Caleb Russell, his second win in 2017, another step closer to history here in GNCC, and another step closer to his possible 5th consecutive GNCC title. Still a long way to go on that one, because he's got a lot of fights to fight with this guy right here coming in, the 989 of Thad Duvall, finishing a very respectable and an admirable second place position today, as the race fans, I'm sure, are going to be congratulating him and patting him on the back. And the same thing when we see that number 514 coming in here in just a few moments.
Rodney, while we wait and we watch for Stu Baylor, let me ask you something. When's the last time we saw Caleb Russell win without so much as a fist pump, a rev, a wheelie? Caleb Russell left everything on the track. Thad Duvall and Caleb took it to each other. They took it right to the wire. These guys are gassed, and I have a feeling that both of these guys are going to go back and say, you know, that was all we had, so we need to find more.
Yeah, and they'll go find it. That's the amazing thing. They'll go find it and bring it back. And look at there, a little bit of gas left in his tank too, man. You said it. He's showing a little fatigue here toward the end, but you know what? He deserves to be able to show that. Put your hands together, Georgia, as Stu Baylor does it one more time. Fist pumps of the crowd. He comes across the line, or set to come across the line, in that number 3 position. An amazing come from behind podium position finish, 2 races in a row. Stu Baylor, the 514 to round out your podium. And look at your monitor right here. There it is. We saw it a year ago just like this. Caleb Russell was spent after this race. They ended up having to give him an IB, as you mentioned. And here he is again, looking very worn out. Again, this track, again, taking everything out. And not only that, the competition drawing it out of Caleb Russell here today.
Absolutely. You know, these guys are finely tuned, trained athletes, and to see a rider like that at that level, at that caliber, to be at that level of exhaustion after 3 hours of racing, it just goes to show you exactly the effort level that those guys put out. They left nothing in the tank. They poured it all out, and they put on one heck of a show here. So, folks, if you're here at this Sparta, Georgia facility today for the Cannonball, make your way over to the podium. These guys deserve it. They deserve for you to stand there and shower them with the appreciation for the show that they put on for you today. Here's another one of those guys right there, Stu Baylor, already with the cold, wet towel around his neck. You want to talk about gladiators? These guys are it right here. I mean, 3 hours in these conditions, upwards of 80 degrees, a brutal, rough Georgia track, and these guys laid it all on the line, put it all out there.
They have, and I'm surprised and amazed that Stu hasn't taken his helmet off yet.
Doesn't have the energy to do it right now.
I love that look on Stu's face, man, I tell you.
Hey, Stu, you're sitting over there. I don't know if you can hear us on the PA system, but a podium for today. I think you deserve an ice cream, buddy. That was a heck of a ride coming back from third. I know you said you're only allowed ice cream if you win, but we're giving you a pass from the folks here at RacerTV, GNCC Live. We're going to go find you an ice cream cone, buddy.
I think Nate there will too. Nate Martin, his trainer.
Oh, sorry, didn't know the trainer was here. My bad. He doesn't eat ice cream. Never seen it. Doesn't even know what the stuff is. Yeah, it's Froyo.
Froyo, that's it.
We're going to take him to Sweet Frog, get him
some
Froyo.
But that guy right there standing beside Stu Baylor may be as responsible for what's going on as anybody right now, because Stu had the talent, Stu had the speed. He just needed that little refining and retuning from a physical aspect. And I tell you, 45 days is what it took to get him into race shape there for round number 1, Nate said. And can you imagine what he's going to be like by the end of this season if they continue to train together?
Yeah, it's crazy, you know, definitely like you said. And I think, you know, the physical aspect of it is huge, obviously, and everybody that, you know, really puts a good training program together can attest to that. But let me tell you something that oftentimes doesn't get talked about. The mental strength that comes with knowing that you're fit, knowing that you've put in the work, knowing that you're prepared, it just puts you way ahead of the game coming in. You know that you can do it, and you know, sometimes they say fake it till you make it. Well, you cannot fake it until you've made it in GNCC racing, because it exposes your weaknesses, especially in a 3-hour race. Here we see Chris Bach working his way towards the finish. Got a little ways to go yet. He's over there at the 9-mile marker. We did just see just ahead of him Grant Baylor. Now we see Thad Duvall again you know, jersey off, sucking down the Gatorade. These guys need sugar, they need salt, they need liquid, and these bodies are going to start recovering because, Rodney, here's the kicker. 13 days, we're going to do this all again.
Yes. Some of them are going to be heading to other series like National Enduros. They got a week off?
No, yeah, I don't think there's a National Enduro next weekend, I believe.
13 days, these guys got to get ready and be back here at this race.
And I could be wrong on that, but I want to say they're off next weekend, but I could be wrong. Trevor Bollinger now working his way into the finish. That should be our 5th place rider.
I believe it is. We got Russell, Duvall, Baylor, Ashburn checking in a minute 20 behind
There's
Stuart
Jordan
Baylor.
Ashburn riding by the studio now.
And there is, again, like you say, Trevor Bollinger checking in.
Rodney, look at this. Look at this shot we got.
That is Thad Duvall's motorcycle right there. That's what happens whenever you push it to the limits out there. There's no doubt about it. And listen to this.
Yeah, Jordan Ashburn's machine pushed right to the limit.
Yeah, it did.
They're going to push it back to the pits now.
He can't get it to fire back up. I don't think he cares too much. He just wants to take a little break himself. Just look at the expression on these riders' faces. I mean, Thad looks spent himself right now. I mean, you can see that he's still got some energy left in him, but another lap probably would have really, really, really been tough on these boys, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. We couldn't have done another lap. No way. Not happening. It's on a day like today to go the full 3 hours and slightly over. I don't know exactly what was the finish time for Caleb?
Finished at 3:04:34.
Yeah, so that's about as close to 3 hours as you're going to get.
Yeah.
And, it's, man, that's a long time out there on a dirt bike.
Yep.
We got some other riders checking in. We should see that 206 reverse number plate of Josh Toth coming in on that NFAB Ampro Yamaha. And he's looking to make it 3 in a row if he can get the job done here. He had a pretty comfortable gap over the 282 RPM KTM of Mike Witkowski last we saw. And I tell you what, 3 in a row, considering that this guy to date, only had 1 win. That's a big statement for him coming in, getting comfortable with that team, getting comfortable on that bike. He made that switch mid-season, came out, won the first race he ever ran on that bike at Unadilla last year, and then, had some other good rides, but didn't quite reach that same level of, dominance that we'd seen out of him at Unadilla. But so far in 2017, it's been the Josh Toth show.
It has.
He's come from the back to do it. He's done it from the front, and then he's also come from the back, so he's proven he can do it from anywhere, just like this guy.
I tell you, the folks up in New England, the J-Day boys, they've got to be pretty stoked right now seeing what's going on there with their rider coming down from the Northeast. And look at this, man. Anybody that's a Josh Strang fan has got to be excited about what they're witnessing here today with Josh Strang making his way around now. I believe that's going to be for what, 6th place?
6th place, and most importantly, a finish.
Yes.
Josh Strang came in looking for a finish. He got that and a 6th. That's not anything to shake a stick at with the competition levels where they are. Crazy to see that. And here we go. The 206 of Josh Toth leading the way. Looks like he's got this one in hand. We've got a rider behind him there, but I think that's a lapped rider. So here he goes. NFAB Ampro Yamahas, folks. Josh Toth crossing the finish line for his 3rd straight win.
Was that a lapped rider?
That was a lapped rider.
All right. Yeah, Mason Osterberg. Okay. Yep. He is from the XC2 class, but he was a lap down. You're absolutely right.
Yep, we've got, we'll let next be watching. Look at him. Here's a guy. He's got a little pep in his step yet for a guy that just went out there and climbed from the back of the pack to to win this XC2 class. And he made it hard on himself. He found the handguard tree monster, went down, reversed past his way back to 4th, and then had to come back to the lead again. So great ride for Josh, and great day for that NFAB Ampro Yamaha team to get up there on that 1st place spot. There we see his mechanic, Lucas Statham. Actually, I'm sorry, I believe Ryan Ballou is his mechanic. Lucas Statham wrenches for Ricky Russell, who should be coming in here any moment in that XC1 class. A little bit of a struggle for him today, was doing well early, and we saw him losing all of his handguards and some other plastic pieces as well. So a lot of riders spent a lot of time on the ground today, but we were treated to some amazing battles and some really exciting finishes here.
Wow, this whole weekend has been just that. I mean, from the start of the first drop of the green flag with yesterday's Youth ATV race with the win there by Lane McCormick, all the way through Caleb Russell's big win here today. I mean, it's just been an amazing weekend of racing. So, congratulations to everybody that participated this weekend, because you did well by just doing that. And if you did a good job, you got a plaque, you finished top of your class, even more congratulations and tip of the hat, because the conditions in which you did them in this weekend were some of the rougher ones that we've ever seen in Georgia. And there is just a slight glimpse of it. The tree roots that we were talking about, if you were watching yesterday's ATV show, you could see them as well. But look how
the track, you know, is kind of loose there a little bit. You're getting some of that silty type dirt. It brushes away those. That not only is that choppy and rough, but it's also slick. So those roots become an obstacle of two different kinds and two different beasts out there at times.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't even imagine trying to ride a lap on this track on a dirt bike, let alone race it. And, you know, these guys did it for 3 hours, and you know, up until the end there, almost made it look effortless. Now you can see the fruits or the results of their effort. You can see these guys are absolutely gassed. But here we go, second place in XC2. Mike Witkowski working his way in, 282 RPM KTM machine. Put in the work, and it's paying off for him today.
Yep.
A solid podium place finish with a second place ride.
Here's the funny thing about it is he makes his way around. And congratulations to Mike Witkowski. But I was talking with someone that's close to the Witkowski camp, and after that first round of racing in in South Carolina, they come to me and we're talking, and they're talking to me, and they said, "Well, he's got to get a win. He's just got to get out there and get a win." And the way the conversation was going, I felt like we were at like round 6 or 7, and then it just dawned on me. Just now, as a matter of fact, they were talking like this was that was only the second round that they were talking about that. And here we are at round 3. He didn't get the win that he was looking for, but what we, as far as the win, but we got him on the podium, and we're seeing some great strides by him. So we may need to take a little bit of a break here, Chelsea, to give these guys a moment.
Well, well, let's not go to a break just yet. We've got our XC3 battle coming in here. Should be coming in just about any moment.
Actually, Jesse hasn't checked in yet either for his third place position.
Yeah, so we've got Jesse Grum and Craig DeLong still battling over that final podium spot in XC2, and we've got our battle for the win in XC3 potentially with Jason Thomas. We know he's a crafty veteran, and I don't think we should hand that win to Jack Edmondson just yet. It was only maybe 15 seconds was the gap between those two.
The old guy ain't got it left
All right,
in, man.
you go ahead and tell him that. I'm not telling him.
I'm going to tell him.
He'll sucker punch me right in the nose if I tell him that.
He might do the same thing to me, but I'm going to inspire him. The old guy ain't get
Besides,
not today anyway. Not today.
I can't call him old. He's younger than I am.
I guess I can't either. I mean,
you're allowed though. You don't still ride. So if I start calling guys old that are still riding, it's like the pot calling the kettle black. You know?
No, and I say that with the utmost respect about Jason as well, and I know you know that, Johnny. I just want other people out there to realize that as well. But Jason and I have a good a relationship like that. I can say things that would make most people mad and would make him mad under most circumstances, and he laughs at me, so that's always a good thing. Corey B., a true product of the GNCC Racing Nation, another one of those guys that grew up through the youth and amateur ranks, right into the pro ranks here in GNCC. He's another one of those riders that was on top of his game, had some issues, had a knee injury, if memory serves me correct. That took him out for a couple of years, 2 knee injuries, and it just seemed like he just kept being plagued with problems and issues. And he actually stepped away for a year or 2, and we saw him start to ease his way back in, and he's easing his way up. As Jesse Grom easing his way in now, back for that 3rd place position, I think it is, Johnny, for the XC2 250 Pro 16 to 24 class.
Well, it'd be interesting to take a look at the overall here, because as you pointed out, Jesse Grum, as he crosses the line, we should be looking at maybe 30 seconds or less until we see the 118 machine, that Coastal Racing Husqvarna of Jack Edmondson coming in, and that will be the winner or leader. At least there he is, the 118 Coastal Racing Husqvarna. That little guy looks pretty tired, but he looks like he's going to push it, and I hope he does. Push it right to the finish line, Jack, because you could potentially be looking at a top 10 overall. What are we looking at on our overall here?
Right now, as I look at the overall, Jack Edmondson would be 14th place overall, but he has not checked in yet. So after time adjustments, checking in, right now we do the old update. Jack Edmondson checks in 10th place overall from the XC3 Pro-Am class, my friends. So the FMF Pro-Am class has got the talent. There's no doubt about it. Jack Edmondson, top 10, 10th place here at the Cannonball GNCC.
That's pretty awesome right there. That's what I was hoping for. I knew he was 11th going into that last lap. You know, nothing against those guys in front of him, but see a little, you know, a young man travel all the way from overseas, be away from his family. Obviously, Scott Kiger and Barry Hawk there. You see those guys standing. Those are his American family for now, but away from his actual family, doing this kind of on his own. Obviously, a lot of support This guy did the same thing probably about, 12 years ago or so. Jason Thomas coming over here to see that young man on a 125cc Coastal Racing Husqvarna come out top 10 OA. That is a statement right there. And this guy, opposite end of the spectrum as far as where he's at with his career, but nonetheless still just as impressive. Jason Thomas, hats off to you, my man. The number 125 Racing, I believe it's Palmer Motorsports Husqvarna. He's got the job done today in second. Sure, he won't be super pumped with that, but he's got to be proud of the effort.
Right on, and I do apologize. I think I might have said a different sponsor for him earlier, but that was on my. We got some bad lists there. We're going to get that fixed. But that guy right there, the Coastal Racing rider of Jack Edmondson, man, just what an amazing finish for him. So here's the way it breaks down: Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, Stu Baylor, your top 3 overall. Then in 6th place overall, your winner of the XC2 class was Josh Toth. Then we look and see that Mike Witkowski, who got 2nd in that class, was 8th overall. And Jack Edmondson got 10th overall as he was an XC3 class winner. So some pretty cool highlights. Stick around. We've got podium presentations and some really good stories I'm sure you're not going to want to miss when GNCC continues from the Cannonball.
We handle your races, your jumps, and your trails. Isn't it time you give your daily driver the same love? AMSOIL's Signature Series Synthetic Motor Oil delivers 75% more engine protection against horsepower loss and wear than required by a leading industry standard. AMSOIL also offers a full family of ATV, UTV lubricants, giving you above and beyond fortification for your weekday and weekend vehicles. AMSOIL, devoted to protection.
Here he is, Walker Fowler, Brent National Cross Country XC1 Pro Class Champion.
At Rocky Mountain ATVMC, we want to help increase rider participation at your next race, rally, or club event with our free Race Gas program. Join Race Gas, and every rider that signs up for your event or club gets a free $10 gift card to Rocky Mountain ATVMC. It's that simple. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. It's the Maxxis Cannonball GNCC, and we are headed down to the Maxxis Victory Lane here in just a few moments. Round 3 of the AMSOIL GNCC Series presented by Maxxis. What an amazing day of racing. I said it coming into it, it could be historic. It was going to be epic. It was going to be a day that you were not soon going to forget. And folks, I think if you watch this on TV, if you were here at the racetrack, this is a race that's certainly going to be hard to forget. Everything that these riders laid out on the racetrack today, from coming from behind for Stu Baylor, from dead last to the 3rd place position, to the epic battle between the 989 of Thad Duvall and the lead changes between he and Caleb Russell. Just an amazing feat by all of our riders out here today. And I just tip my hat to them and say congratulations to each and every one of them. So right now, we're going to head on down. It looks like Caleb's going to be a couple moments getting to the podium, but both Stu and Thad are ready to go. So we're going to send things down to Mikey at the podium as we get ready to celebrate GNCC style here at the Maxxis Cannonball GNCC.
All right, thank you, Rodney Tomlin. And it looks like, is that him right there? Okay, so Caleb Russell is en route on the ATV right now, so we're going to give it just a couple of seconds here. Head hung low, but I can tell you right now, after that win, once he's hydrated up, it's not going to be low too long. So we'll give Caleb just a couple of seconds to come on up here and collect some hardware. I'll get things started. I'm going to grab the whole shot. I'll let you kind of hold that for a moment. And there he is. All right, all right. Okay, race fans, first of all, can we hear it for our top 3 riders in the overall today? All right, I'm going to get started with some interviews here as Caleb Russell gets some hardware thrown on. Stu Baylor, what you got there, brother?
Some ice cream, man.
I'm gonna swap spots with you. I'll come over here. We'll try that. Oh! Hey, 5-second rule. 5-second rule. So, thank you. So, talk to me, man. Ice cream position up here, yeah?
Yeah, I said it before the race. I get ice cream if I get a podium.
Well, hey, man, you earned this one. It was a lot like the Florida round for you, and maybe that's not what you want to hear, but working your way from the back and just busting your butt to get up there on this podium, man. Talk to us about that.
I'm not gonna lie, I was pissed off. I mean, there's no doubt. Like I sat there for 35 seconds probably on the line, and those boys were in the woods when my bike finally fired. I knew Caleb got the whole shot, and I was really frustrated. You know, I want to be up there with those guys. You know, I was bummed out. I came in first lap, a minute 10 down, and basically stayed there the whole race, just floating right around that minute 10 deficit. And you know, I know if I was up there in that battle, like it's easy when you've got somebody else to key off. And I basically rode by myself all day. You know, we made passes quick and got a good position on the track. And you know, I'm tired of this story. You know, 2 in a row, turning a bad day into a good one. But you know, I'd like to get up there with those guys. And like I said, I'm pissed off about the day.
Well, hey, man, like I say, I hate the saying, but it is what it is, and I know you're going to continue to work hard and be a regular up here, it looks like, this season. So who are your sponsors and folks you'd like to thank today?
You know, the whole SRT KTM team, my parents, my grandparents, everybody backing me, my mechanic, my girlfriend, Nick Davis, all the guys out there pointing me lines. Nick was giving me some bottles today. You know, I busted my Camelback on the first lap, so I didn't have water all day, and I was absolutely miserable. But I'm glad I had the support in my corner. Kenda Tires, Motul, G2, Evans Coolant, Shoei helmets, Liat knee braces, Coppersmith suspension, O'Neill, Moto Seed, FMF, Full Gas Fitness, 509. Lord for keeping me safe, and you know, I'm just ready for Long Island. Let's go.
Woo! All right, I like it. There you go, race fans. That is third place finisher Stu Baylor. All right, we come on down here to Thad Duvall. Thad, you don't have a broken ice cream cone, but you got a broken front fender, number plate. My goodness, you name it, man. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Just, yeah, I threw away the win for sure. I felt like, you know, I got a pretty good, comfortable lead on Caleb there coming into the white flag, and just, man, I crashed so fast. I don't even know what happened. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty upset with myself and disappointed with second. I felt like I had the win in me today, but hey, you know, that's racing. You know, Caleb's a champ for a reason. He was there all day, and we, yeah, it was another incredible race, and I'll think about this one for the next 2 weeks for sure.
Well, hey, man, we know you're going to come out round 4 hungry. I mean, you led some in this one, so I know you're going to come in there, head down, do your own thing next round. Who are your sponsors and folks you want to thank today?
Yeah, you know, the Rockstar Husqvarna family, Timmy, my boss, Tanner, my mechanic, Fly Gear, 60 helmets, Scott Goggles, CD Boots, FMF, Recluse, my wife, my parents. Man, it was... everybody was cheering me on today, and it was a frustrating day at the end, but man, it just thanks to all the fans for sticking with me.
There you go, race fans. Everybody give it up for second place finisher, Thad Duvall. All right. Caleb Russell, I don't think a word will cover it, brother. We're going to give you a chance. Caleb, first of all, got the whole shot award today, so there's $250 from All Balls Racing there. Caleb, man, you came off the track. You got the win, but, man, you were sucking on air. They were pouring water on you. How you feeling, brother?
Not well. I don't know what's going on. I got real bad stomach cramps there in South Carolina, and I got them again today. I don't know if it's what I'm taking. My drink bottles are wet, but it's my stomach's just killing me, and I felt okay other than just my stomach was cramping, and every bump, it was so rough out there. Every bump I hit was just killing me. So I was just trying to hold on, and I had a crash, and Thad got away, and I figured I blew it right there, and I kind of speared myself in the chest with my bars, and then I caught up to Thad, and he was picking himself back up, and I just suffered the last lap as best I could, and I ended up with a win. It's yeah, I'm not happy with everything today, and yeah, we need to go back to the drawing board and make some changes or something. So yeah, I'm having some stomach issues for sure.
Well, hey, man, I'll keep it brief for you. Talk to us a little bit about that race today between you and Thad, the back and forth there, and you're able to come out here on front. Feel pretty good to get that win and kind of go back to the drawing board, like you said?
Yeah, I mean, Thad's riding really well. I got the whole shot, and we were just back and forth all day. But I just got to thank the whole FMF KTM team and my wife, all my friends and family, and all the fans. Thank you.
There you go, race fans. That is your first place winner today, Caleb Russell. And we'll give our riders a chance to line up there in a row and get a picture. Throw it up, throw it up, throw it up. They earned it. There you go, race fans. Everybody, give it up for your top 3 riders today. Third place, Stu Baylor. Second, Thad Duvall. And first place, Caleb Russell. All right, so we got that. The pictures taken. And now the spoils of victory. Those champagne showers. Stu Baylor, does ice cream mix well with champagne? I would agree with you. There you go. Got him. All right, so that is going to do it for our overall podium. We'll be moving on next. I'm not sure, is Rodney there to take it away from me?
Yeah, we're here, Mikey.
All right.
And of course, we're ramping up the celebrations there at Max's Victory Lane for the XC1 Pro Class and the overall here today. And that is win number 42 for Caleb Russell. That puts him 4 away from tying Scott Summers for the all-time bike GNCC wins list. 5 away from being the all-time bike wins leader. So one more step closer to history and for Caleb Russell in this Caleb Russell era of GNCC, so to speak. And as you take a look at the overall results, you see Russell, Duvall, Baylor, Jordan Ashburn holding on for a solid and very impressive 4th place finish today, as is Trevor Bollinger finishing 5th. How about it for the XC2 Pro 250 class champ today, as he finishes 6th overall. Josh Strang gets 6th in class, 7th in the overall today. 2nd place in the XC2 class, Michael Witkowski. He'll take 8th place overall. Ricky Russell is 9th. And Jack Edmondson, again, the rider that took the win in the FMF XC3 class, is your 10th place finisher there. What an amazing feat by many, many riders here today at the Max's Cannonball GNCC. And it all started bright and early this morning with our youth motorcycle pilots. And man, did they put on a show for us. Zach Davidson took the win, and this is how it all broke down.
Race fans, Mikey Waynes here with Zachary Davidson, back to back to back. Man, how'd you do it?
I don't know. I just kept my head down and pushed and just hoped for the best.
Well, good work, man. Talk to us a little bit. This is your 3rd win in a row. Is this just something we're going to see regularly from you this season?
Hopefully.
All right, race fans, that's it. You heard it there. 3-time winner, Zachary Davidson. Back to you.
All right, and thanks again, Mikey. And I love how you do that double duty. You're there with the youth this morning. You're back on the podium right now, and that's the great beauty and art of television, that's for sure, and RacerTV. But right now, resetting the podium at Max's Victory Lane, we've got our XC2 Pro Class, these 250 riders, and wow, what a great battle we saw out of these guys today. Again, Josh Toth taking the win. 2nd place to Mike Witkowski, and 3rd place down to Jesse Grom. And congratulations to all 3 of you guys. We watched the efforts that you put forth, and believe me, none of them go unnoticed. You guys did a great job out there and pushed and dug deep and did everything you needed to do to get yourself in the position. Let's head on down to Max's Victory Lane, where Mikey Wayne stands by, ready to congratulate these boys.
Well, thank you, Rodney Tomlin. And we are down here at the podium. Race fans, can we give it up for our top 3 finishers today in XC2? Well, I'm going to start things off here with Jesse Grome. Jesse, brother, third place finish out there today in XC2. Talk to us a little bit about that track today and your run here.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. Rudy beat the crap out of everybody. I think everybody knows that. But I got out front early, and then my shock was off a little bit, and it was really pounding the death out of me. So pulled in the pits and quick adjusted my sag and grabbed a flathead. Thanks to Brian for helping me with that and softened her out. We're back in 6th or 7th, and then crashed pretty hard and ended up chugging away and getting back up here. So first podium for the year. Hopefully you see me more often.
I like it, brother. Yeah, it'd be all right to have you as a staple up here, and I'm sure you'd agree with that. Who are your sponsors and folks you'd like to thank today?
Well, I want to thank my dad for telling me to quit racing motorcycles and just worry about work. So this one's for you. I'm going to keep racing, baby. So also I'd like to thank Solid Performance, KTM, FMF, HBD Graphics, Enduro Engineering, Fly Racing, IMS, Renthal, Dirt Tricks, Sprockets, Kenda Tires, Seat Concepts, CD Boots, Arai Helmets, and the Kosser family for letting me ride at their house in Florida and help me pit, and just everybody who's behind me. Working Class Industries. I'll be back to work 7 a.m. sharp Monday. So, yeah, that's it.
There you go, race fans. I like it. Give it up for third place finisher Jesse Grome. All right, and we move on down the line here. Mike Witowski, how long has it been since we hung out?
Not too long.
Well, not too long ago. I think last time you and I were on the podium together, I think you were knee-high to a grasshopper. Now here you are, man. You were running first place today in XC2. You ended up getting second. You feel pretty good about the finish today?
Yeah, I mean, I got off to a great start. We were right up there about third or so, and just played it smart and actually hooked up, let Toth go, and just tried to follow his lines and worked pretty well, and he was chucking pretty good. And I think he crashed, and it felt good to lead for a while. So I was super excited on the day, and just big improvements each weekend, and my suspension really got dialed. Did a lot of testing, so it was really, really good this weekend, and just happy to be up here, really.
Well, hey, man, great work. You got a little taste of that running out there in front. You going to try and get a taste of that next round?
Oh, yeah, keep striving, keep getting better each weekend, and little victories here and there add up, and just excited to be up here healthy and have a great season so far.
Great work, man. Who are your sponsors and people you'd like to thank today?
Big thanks to definitely my parents for all they do, and my girlfriend and her family, and then RPM Racing Team, FMF, Maxxis, Spikes KTM, IMS, Pro Taper, St. Lawrence Radiology, CD Boots, V3 Off-Road. Did a lot of suspension work and helped a lot, so thanks to that guy, and MotorX, and I mean everyone else. Thank you.
There you go, race fans. Everyone give it up for second place finisher Mike Witowski. All right, and the man taking the checkered flag today, you guys were battling it out. I mean, top to bottom really today, XC1, XC2, XC3, great battles. You guys were no different. Tell me a little bit about you getting out here on front.
Yeah, it was great to have tons of battles with everyone, and not just the usual top three as of lately. And there's so many guys up in the mix, and really anybody could be up on here. So I really like just enjoying battle and racing with everyone. But it was a long, tough day, and glad to make it out in 3 in a row.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. Good work out there. Who are your sponsors and folks that help make it happen for you?
My mechanic Ryan for helping out and doing everything I need and more. NFAB, Impro, Yamaha, Kenda Tires, Factory Connection. Bike was awesome today. Everybody, my friends and family cheering. Sorry I'm forgetting everybody, but 100% Goggles, Evans Coolant, Steve Hatch and Paul Wibley for getting me into shape and making these 3 hours a lot easier than they were last year. So thank you.
There you go, race fans. Everyone give it up for first place finisher today, Josh Toth. All right, we'll get you 3 top riders out of XC2 up there in the middle to get your photo taken. Hold up those trophies. We know you earned them. We'll get a picture there with Kenny Hill taking some photographs for us, and then we'll get down to the champagne showers. Race fans, give it up one more time for your top 3 out of XC2. So as soon as these guys do a champagne shower real quick there from Josh Toth, the spoils of victory, if you will, if Sam Evans, I'm looking for Sam Evans. There we go. That's as good as it gets right there. We'll bring up Sam Evans for that XC2 hole shot. I believe, yeah, we do have that up here. $100 for the XC2 hole shot.
Well, as they continue celebrations and their swag bag throwouts, they see that plenty of Maxxis swag being handed out to the race fans today. And this is Maxxis Victory Lane, and this is the Maxxis Cannonball GNCC, so it's only fitting. And, of course, congratulations again to all 3 of these guys. And, Jesse Grom, congratulations to you, man. You show more heart and more effort and more determination.
I believe, yeah, we do have that up here. $100 for the XC2 hole shot.
Well, as they continue celebrations and their swag bag throwouts, they see that plenty of Maxxis swag being handed out to the race fans today. And this is Maxxis Victory Lane, and this is the Maxxis Cannonball GNCC, so it's only fitting. And, of course, congratulations again to all 3 of these guys. And Jesse Grom, congratulations to you, man. You show more heart and more effort and more determination than I've seen. Well, it's hard to say that I've seen in a long time, because I've seen a lot of that today out of a lot of different individuals. But to see you do that, that was pretty impressive. To watch you jump off your bike, make the adjustments mid-race, fall back as far as you did, and come back to 3rd. That is definitely impressive, Jesse. Keep up the good work, buddy. And all 3 of you guys, congratulations, and everyone that was involved in today's race. Just an amazing race to watch. Myself, from a race fan's perspective, I am truly stoked as to what this 2017 championship season holds. I said it at the end of last year. I was like, man, how are we ever going to top it again? But as the off-season went on, I also made the statement, we are on the verge of the greatest season ever again. And that quite possibly could be the case, as we have just witnessed our 3rd consecutive round of greatness in both ATV and motorcycle racing. Let's head on back down to the podium where we got a Hot Cams Hole Shot Award.
All right, race fans, thank you, Rodney. I am down here with XC2 hole shot winner Sam Evans. I'll get you a chance to hold that up. That is a $100 hold shot award from Hot Cams. So, Sam, we'll let you talk to us for a real quick second here. Obviously, great start. You got the whole shot. What happened from there, brother?
Oh, yeah, that was the best part of my day. After that, I'd like to say I dropped anchor, but I don't think I ever got it out of the water all day. I was struggling. But a few thanks to my dad, all my sponsors, AOMC, Fly, Recluse, Thornhill Auto, Evans Coolant, and everyone else that helps me out. I know I missed a bunch, but not a very good day, but we'll be back.
All right, well, great work, man. You're $100 richer thanks to Hot Cams. There you go, race fans. XC2 hole shot winner, Sam Evans. So coming up next is going to be our FMF XC3. We'll get those top 3 riders up here. Excuse me. And in order, it's going to be Paul Whibley. Paul Whibley, man, also won our hole shot. So he's the hole shot winner there out of the XC3 class. And then center of the box is going to be Jack Edmondson, and second place, Jason Thomas.
Well, certainly want to say a farewell to Paul Whibley, at least from what we understand. He was scheduled to race 3 races here in 2017 in this XC3 class, and this is race number 3. I'm not sure we'll get the full story on it, but I just want to send a personal word of gratitude and thanks to Paul Whibley for coming back and making the show so exciting and making this new FMF XC3 class so exciting as well. Bringing the flavor that you all did, and again, to everyone up there, congratulations to the amazing racing that you guys were able to put forth today, the show that was put on. It's second to none. This is probably one of the best race weekends I've seen all around between ATV and motorcycle racing collectively in a long, long time. And it's certainly been a lot of fun from an announcer and a race fan standpoint to watch what has unfolded here in the soils of Georgia here in the last 48 hours or so. Let's head on back down to the podium. Mikey Wayne standing by to congratulate our top three XC3.
Thank you, Rodney. Well, we're going to get things started off here with Paul Whibley. Now, first and foremost, brother, you got the $100 hole shot award from Weisco. So kudos there. Now, Paul, is this the last race with us this season?
For this trip, we head back tomorrow, and you never know what's going to happen in the future.
Well, I know, speaking for the race fans and speaking selfishly, man, we hope to see you back this season. It's been a heck of a ride so far.
Yeah, I'd love to come back. I've had a great time. Been back with the Ampro Yamaha team. It's been awesome just seeing all the friends and family we've got over here. It's been great to reconnect. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be back.
All right, I like it. I like to hear that. So talk about today's race a little bit, man. Third place on the podium here. What was that like for you?
It was rough. It was a tough race. Got a good start. Obviously got the whole shot, and I pumped up quite early. And Jason and Jack, they were riding really good. They just flew past me, and I tried to hang with them as best I could with the arm pump, but yeah, there was no doing that today. So I kind of just, once I loosened up, I tried to push, but I wasn't making any time. So then I just kind of was in sort of no man's land, no one around. So just cruised around and tried to enjoy the last one for a while.
Well, good work, man. Like I said, we love having you here. Looking forward to maybe seeing you back again this season. Who are your sponsors and people you'd like to give thanks to?
I would thank the Infab Ampro Yamaha team. FMF, of course, was sponsoring us and this class. MSR, Kenda Tires, got Yamalube, GYTR, got MSR gear. We got X-Brand goggles, Shoei helmets, City boots. And big thanks to my mechanic Bones, April for her help, and Colton for hanging out.
All right, race fans, everybody give it up for third place finisher Paul Whibley. All right, moving on down the line here, Mr. Jason Thomas. Jason, talk to us, brother. You talked to Rodney prior to the race. You wanted to stay on the heels of Edmondson. You did that, but you come away with a second place finish. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, you know, we had a pretty good pace going, and he got in front of me, and I followed him, and I was able to get back in front of him, and then, you know, I was riding pretty easy. I knew it was going to get brutal at the end, and a vine caught my head and yanked me off the bike, and yeah, I mean, it kind of hit my head pretty hard again and hurt my neck, and I knew he was going to sprint. You know, he's got some awesome sprint speed, and he put the hammer down, and I couldn't do nothing about it. I tried, and I think I got back within 10 seconds maybe, and I was done. I was too tired. I had nothing left, and you know, I'm sure he was the same, but he just had that enough of a gap on me to hold it. So, yeah, you know, again, kid's riding awesome. I'm starting to wonder what I can do to beat him now. But yeah, you know, it's good. It was a good fun race, and you know, Paul was up there at the beginning, and yeah, hopefully it continues.
Yeah, man, you guys have had some very serious competition out of this FMF XC3 class. So from the spectator's standpoint, from the announcer's standpoint, thank you. It's been exciting. Who are the sponsors and folks you'd like to thank out there?
Yeah, I got to thank Palmer Motorsports, Todd and Richard for helping me out in the pits, Tyler for holding my helmet, Max's Tires, Evans Coolant, 100% Goggles, IMS, Pro X, Stillwell Performance. You know, this track was... This, I want to say, is probably one of the roughest tracks I've ridden in a long, long time. So we changed the forks out this week, and yeah, Stillwell Performance did an awesome job with the suspension. TCX Boots, Moose Clothing, Carb Sport, DT1 Filters, and yeah, all the people for pointing us lines. You know, it's tough. These guys have got guys on the track pointing them for them, you know, team members, and you know, I rely on the fans. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
There you go, race fans. Well spoken right there. Second place finisher today, Jason Thomas. All right, coming up here now, first place finisher, Jack Edmondson. Man, talk to us about this finish today.
I got not much to say other than that was one tough race.
So comparing it, let's go back to round two. Florida, everybody talks about Florida, man. That's the one that beats you to death. That's the tough one. You guys come out of Florida, you're here in Georgia. How's this shape up compared to that one?
Yeah, that was on scale with Florida, definitely.
Well, hey, man, great work out there. Another first-place finish for you. Who are the sponsors and people you'd like to thank today?
The whole team at Coastal Racing, Carrier Resources, Maxis, Factory Connection, Moto Hose, FMF, Gurney Boots, Answer, Aero Helmets. Yeah, I've had a good day, so thanks, everyone.
There you go, race fans. Everyone give it up for first-place finisher Jack Edmondson. We'll get you guys squared up on the podium here, get a picture taken. And then we'll give Jack Edmondson that opportunity to make it rain, some champagne. Again, give it up, race fans, one more time for your top 3 out of the FMF XC3.
Well, there you have it, folks. That's going to wrap up our podium presentations here on RacerTV.com. And, of course, that sets the stage for round number 4 coming up at Steel Creek here in just a couple of weeks, believe it or not. A lot of excitement in the air for that one as the schedule a little different than it has been in seasons past. We're going to get, well, it's still going to be another round or so before we can get back to the norm side of things, so to speak. But regardless, folks, Steel Creek's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to add a different element to things, too, as well as it's a few more weeks later in the year than it has been in the past. And, again, be looking for another epic day like we saw here today at the Max's Cannonball GNCC. I want to say thanks to everybody for tuning in, everybody for making their way out here, the racers and race fans and the entire GNCC Nation and all of the Racer TV crew. Tip of the hat to you guys. You did a most excellent job once again. Congratulations on a great show. On behalf of Mikey Waynes and, of course, the Racer TV crew and Johnny Gallagher, I'm Rodney Tomlin saying so long, everybody.